Just give me the night. Give me the night.
I had to walk up all the stairs. Don't want to get too close to you.
Yes, yes.
Oh, it's right here?
You want
Okay.
to take this with you so you can read
Yeah,
it
real
over?
quick.
Yep.
Oh, there's one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. We'd appreciate it if you could take your seats. As I walked in, somebody said to me regarding the parent initiative that was taking place, you know, the cameras are always around when something bad happens. And you had all those positive parents down there looking at the wonderful things that their children did, filling this building, and I don't know that there was a single camera down there with them. So I would ask our colleagues in the media, I already asked our colleague from 13, Cody, if he would, and others, if they could go down there and see the positive things. It's easy to point out when our young people are accused of doing something wrong or parents aren't doing something that you would want them to do. But when they're doing the right thing en masse, where is the media? So we would encourage people to be fair and balanced with respect to what is happening in this community. There's a lot of good things and there's a lot of good people in this community. So, you know, about a year ago, when I took over this post, I sort of changed things a bit with respect to the Pledge of Allegiance. Typically, it was board members who were given the assignment of doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I tried, very spontaneously, to find a young person in the crowd. Somebody cut my mic off. Who could do the Pledge of Allegiance. And I see one young lady out there, right there. She doesn't know I was going to call on her. Yeah, I'm looking at this. Look at her eyes are going like this. Yes, you young. Yeah, you. No, you. No. You got the pink top on. What I need you to do, come on, don't be shy. What I need you to do is I need you to come over here. You can bring, is that your sister or who is that sitting next to you? Okay, I need you to come up to the mic. Come on. All right, let's give them a round of applause. Let's encourage them. Right over there. All right. We got the whole family. And you got to tell us your name, tell us what schools you go to, and then you're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. What's your name? Stop hiding. Yes, go ahead. You first.
My name is Sada Evans, and I go to school, Word of Inquiry.
All right, now that's a great school. All right, let's give her a round of applause. And your name is?
My name is Amaziah,
And what school do you go to?
58.
All right, that's another great school in the district. And our Youth Instructional Improvement Council member, what's your name again?
Hello, my name is Aziza Evans, and I go to World of Inquiry High School.
All right, all right. Let's give her a round of applause. All right, would you guys lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Everybody stand, the flag is over here. Nice and loud, ladies.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. You ladies did a great job. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is acceptance of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from March 26th, April 9th, the budget hearing, and the April 16th special meeting? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Madam Clerk, those minutes have been approved. The next item on our agenda is the I Believe Award recipients. Now, as Commissioner Powell makes her way to the podium, just a little by way of a little background, for those of you who don't know this, years ago, I would say at least 2 years ago, all these pictures had pictures of students who were in the district a decade ago, 5, 6 years ago. And we said we need to take those pictures down and replace them with students who are doing things in our district today. We also need to replace them with adults that are doing things in our district today. So every business meeting, we alternate the recognition of those folks. Today, it is the I Believe Award. And that is an award given to students, in this case students, who believed in themselves or believed in an adult or believed in an idea. And you will see their picture the next time you come to a board meeting up here. Now, next business meeting, we'll recognize we'll give another student a set of awards, and we call that the Yes We Can Award. That's for whole schools that make progress and improvement. Because listen, there's a lot of bad headlines out there. And if no one else is going to show the good news, we have to do it as a district, because we know there's a lot of good news. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. And then let's give Commissioner Powell a round of applause. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you. Let me start by bringing the young people up here, okay? And I'll read their names and have them work through it. Aziza Evans, you just met her. Clara Hurd from Wilson Commencement. Devin Sloan from School of the Arts.
Come on up.
Diana Brown from Early College. Kyre Sloan, I'm not doing that justice, is it? K-H-I-R-E. Kyre? Kyrie Sloan from Wilson Commencement. Nadeja Bovell. Nadeja Bovell from Early College. Nature Henderson from Wilson Commencement, Fremonta Strong from the School Without Walls, and Tori Rosenborough from Charlotte. So what do all these people, young people, have in common? The Youth Council on Instructional Improvement, or the YCII, first met on Monday, October 27th, 2014. The Youth Council on Instructional Improvement was a suggestion that came from the community members who acted as special advisors to the Board of Education. One of their suggestions was that RCSD needed to hear the voice of students. And they suggested that we get students together to provide concrete ideas on how we can help make schools better for them. We listened to the community, and members established this council. And on March 17th, the Youth Council on Instructional Improvement presented their suggestion at the Excellence in Student Achievement Committee meeting and summarized 3 key areas they would like to see the board concentrate their efforts on improving. Those 3 areas are creating a life skills course, Second, offering Pan-American Studies as a mandatory course. And third, creating more arts and media courses, offering it to all students. These are the members of the council. If you would please join me in one more round of applause. And as I hand each of them their certificates, perhaps Christine O'Tua could come up and tell us how they plan on implementing these ideas. Okay?
Thank you and good evening to everybody. We and the Youth Council will be meeting next week, and we will look at the suggestions and their ideas. And we will work collaboratively with the Curriculum Council to try to integrate it into our teaching and learning curriculum offerings for the coming fall. If we cannot do it in the fall, then we will work on it throughout the school year and roll it and maybe do the implementation the next beginning of the school year. But we're looking at their work, and we will be collaborating with them and integrating that into what we do for the curriculum and instruction department. Thank you all for your work.
Would the board like to come down for a photo op, and Christine as well? Now, we still have 5 people who are not present. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Front row?
Thank you so much.
You know that, Cody? You said this is where we get to be on TV, where we get to shine?
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay. And now,
I thought I saw her, but Kimberly Turner. Are you here, Kimberly? She was here. A lot of this, as the students know, would not have happened without Kimberly. She works for the board, so let's give Kimberly.
there we go.
Hey, we're your boss. We want you to come here. Come here. Have to pull rank on her. This is Kimberly Turner. Thank you very much.
And each of these young people, unless they can drive on their own, came with a parent, yes? Yeah. Could the parents of these young people stand up and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you for your contribution to the district. Oh, yes, extended families, uncles, grandparents. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Powell. Excellent job. Thank you again, young people. While you'll probably hear much more about their recommendations, I did want to point out they were very creative because they understand what students need. For example, they were suggesting to the superintendent and Dr. O'Tua that there ought to be a life skills class that helps young people navigate some of the difficult challenges in life, including how do you handle social media. So they really have some stuff that we can learn from. The students can be the teachers, and I think that's what the Youth Instructional Improvement Council intends on having this district do. So again, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is having speakers who are addressing an agenda item. That's not addressing. Yeah, there's 2. We got a duplicate of the same one. Let me steal yours. Here you go, baby. Yeah. Yep, thank you. All right, thank you, Vice President Elliott. I got John Boutte. I'm sorry if I mangled that name. Did I get it right? No? Oh, all right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about School 44 and the 19th Ward and the need it has for the schools that are in the ward. The 19th Ward is about half the area of the Southwest Quadrant neighborhoods. We have 8 neighborhoods in the Southwest Quadrant, but the 19th Ward accounts for half that area and about half the students in the 8 neighborhood area. We used to have 4 neighborhood schools that accommodated the ward, and 37 was closed a while back and reopened as a citywide school. And then in 2012, we had School 16 get closed and the kids moved across town, and we're waiting for it to be renovated. Now we've got School 44 that is slated for closing before 16 comes back. We really need to have the seats in the neighborhood to accommodate students who would like to attend a neighborhood school. And the resolution that Mary has drawn up to reopen the kindergarten and first grade there and keep all the classes open at 44 until 16 comes back is, I think, the very minimum that we need to have go into effect this year so that we don't disrupt the progression of students at 44. And when 16 is back, if we need to move kids around, we would all, I think, agree that getting back to neighborhood schools is a very desirable thing to get more parents involved with their schools. Right now, in a district that has the highest number of poor families in the country, we're busing kids all over the place, and the main accomplishment that does is it separates the children from their parents' home. And it's happening because parents are afraid to have their kids walk to school. So they put them on a bus to go 1.5 miles away. We're hoping that within the next year or two we can get the state to change that formula so that students can attend their neighborhood school and still get bused. And that would give us the ability to have local parents more involved with their schools, and that would help the whole neighborhood regain the sense of community it once had. We really need to stop screwing around with delaying getting the grades at 44 reopened. I very much implore you to adopt this resolution today so that we can get back to business of improving the schools. That school has been improving significantly. There's no reason not to have students attending that school, and I hope you'll consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Laird.
Good evening. I am a proud teacher at School 44, and I want you to know what's going on in our school. Our school is thriving. Our school has a positive attitude filled with children who are enthusiastic about learning. Our test scores are rising. The atmosphere in our building is warm and nurturing. The 19th Ward needs a school that reflects that attitude in the community. We are a school. Let me start that again. You guys are a little nerve-wracking. Hold on. Restart. Like I tell my kids, the sky didn't fall. Everything's okay. All right. The 19th Ward needs a school that is reflective of that community, and we are that school. With School 16 under construction, the 19th Ward needs a community school that is a K through 6, that is operating K through 6 to meet the needs with the community. School 44 has a very strong preschool program that would make a smooth transition going into the kindergarten class. Families count on keeping their children together, and having a building that's opened pre-K through 6 would serve their needs. Please think of this when you make your votes tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning our agenda to speakers not addressing an agenda item. Olga Martinez. Olga Martinez. She will be followed by Nina Nykunchuk. I know I messed that up. I apologize. Ms. Martinez?
Thank you. I didn't know I was going to be called up so soon. My name is Olga. Most people call me Angel. I used to be a former student at Clara Barton School number 2. I would hope and wish that you listen to my words because not only they're personal, but I see them every day in life. Roles and function of school psychologists have been shaped by many forces throughout the history and profession, and these forces continue to shape new roles and functions while preserving traditional ones. In addition, just as children are influenced by many factors in their lives and environments, the current roles and function our individual school psychologists are influenced by numerous personal, professional, and external variables. Provided data on the average percentage of time schools psychologists engage in various and professional activities. Although such data are helpful, such as summaries, they do not describe the activities and many hours of the day that psychologists spend with their time with each and every individual child. People are different. We react to different things, including, isn't it a part of their job to crack open that shy, scared, lonely, afraid person into a bold individual? You must know that I am speaking on, treat every child like your own. Quote. We have all stories and struggles to tell, but why and how do you react to a child who thinks smiling is not worth living? We all once was children. Some had it better than others, some not. I'm a testimony on that. Some youth can look you straight in the eyes and tell you, excuse my French, what hell really looks like, due to their experience in life and short lifespan. We overlook the silly things in life, such as venting to someone, talking. That goes a long way in life, adult and child. A simple hug and a few shared laughs to a human being is time pass. We fail to look at the little short things in life. And to children, that's the world. Why take that away from them? If there's not individual psychologists in schools, how do you expect a child to go through a normal day in life if they don't have that at home? Just think about that.
Thank you. Desmond Herbert, and he will be followed by Timothy Holt. Desmond Herbert, followed by Timothy Holt. Well, I did call out Nina, and she didn't respond, but is she here? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you can go next. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, she can go first.
Well, you're there.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name is Desmond. I'm out reading a little something about my school. I'm a former student from Charlotte High School. Now I attend All City. At Charlotte, I felt I was unable to live down the reputation that I set for myself. Even when I attempted to change my way, it felt like I was branded as a troublemaker. We also moved to Martin Street in order for our building to get revoked. Whatever I bet. Can I start over real quick?
Yeah.
All right. I'm a former student from Charlotte High School. Now I attend All City. At Charlotte, I felt like I was unable to live down the reputation that I earned throughout making poor choices that were part of growing up. Even when I attempted to change, no one seemed to listen. I was branded as a troublemaker. We also moved to Martin Street in order for our building to be renovated. My time at Martin Street was terrible. The environment felt like a jail. we felt like we were just thrown to this location. I lost the hope, looking at the DSS building right across the street. At one point, I made the choice to drop out of school. Although it only lasts for a day, the pressure of school was getting to me. I had put a lot of effort in, and I feel like I wasn't getting nowhere because I still ended up failing. But in October 2013, I transferred to All City for a fresh start. Since coming to All City, I have been able to catch up on all my credits, and I am about to graduate in June of this year.
All right.
All City gave me All City gave me the classes that I needed. They gave me the opportunity to catch up. I got my grades up and doing much better. My relationship with my teachers have improved. So boom, basically if you put the time in with them, they'll put the time in with you to get you to where you want to be at graduation, you feel me? Moving All City from the current location is not a good choice. The Marshall campus is a peaceful, game neutral. The transportation is accessible. Placing them downtown put them at chaotic situations. And I would hate to see something happen to my peers or my teachers. Thank you.
Hey, excuse me for 1 second. This is totally spontaneous. I know usually you don't have to ask for a standing ovation, but let's give this young man a standing ovation. He deserves it. All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nina Nikonchuk, and I am former student of OASIS. Tonight, I want to share with you a short, actually success story of my life, what happened to me in the past. I came to the United States as a refugee from Ukraine in September 2004. I was new to this country, didn't know English, no English at all, didn't know American culture or traditions, and I had only 2 suitcases in my hands. With them, I have to start my new life in America. As every immigrant experience, in the beginning, I had many problems such as settlement, finding a job, making appointments, etc. And of course, I need English. Seeking for the place to study English, for the opportunity to learn English, I was referred by a friend to OASIS. This was Family Learning Center at that time. In a very short time, OASIS became my second family. Being hurt after separation with the family, missing the homeland, I was looking for somebody who can help me, who can listen to me, who can understand me, and in my very beginning, and to whom I can open my heart. I found big help and support from administrations, counselors, and teachers at OASIS. They became my best friends. Hardly pushing myself to study English, I was moving forward. As a result of my hard work, in 3 years later, I got a job through Rochester City School District. Having sewing skill from my country, I was hired as sewing instructor or project assistant of work experience program at OASIS. I was quite proud to become self-sufficient enough that I could in turn help others as I was helped before. My former teachers, who were my friends and still are my friends, now turned into colleagues. I am very thankful to government for this program, adult education, to all people who support this program. If someone of you never been at OASIS, I invite you to visit us, visit our program, talk to participants, look how great, how helpful and success this program is. Thank you for attention.
Timothy Holt will be followed by Kenesha Gaines. Timothy Holt and Kenesha Gaines, you're on deck.
Good evening. My name is Timothy Holt, and I am a current student at Oasis. I have been going there for about 3 months, maybe 3.5 months now, and my teachers have taught me a lot about what I've been trying to get myself in life. Trying to get into working. I've gotten in contact with Career Start through Oasis, which has helped me get a job interview, which I had yesterday. I'm hoping to get the job. I am going to be taking my high school equivalency test in May. And I've come a long way, considering I've been in and out of jobs for the last couple of years now, and I feel I'm learning a lot at this place. And that's all I've got to say.
A lot to be proud of in this district. Rosanna Figueroa. She will be followed by Gloria Sebastro.
Thank you for this opportunity. I came from Cuba a year ago and I found Oasis, and it was my school. I learned English for my teachers. I'm very thankful for them because they teach me how to live here in this country. They help me to prepare my stuff, like my portfolio. They teach me how to be volunteer in a place, which helped me in find a job later, because I worked with Mercy Community Service for a while, and that helps me a lot. So I found a job at last, and I'm working at Q-Dental as a dental assistant, thanks them, and full-time position. So I don't know how to explain the way I feel for them, because I owe everything to them, to my teachers, to my school. It's a great school, are my friends now, and I want to keep that school for people like me, because it's amazing.
Thank you. Gloria Sebastro, followed by Anna Casserly.
Buenas tardes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did it again. Kanisha, just be patient with me. God's not through with me yet. So why don't you ladies no, go ahead. Go ahead. And Kanisha, you wait, right? You wait for us? Yep, okay. Kanisha's good. Go ahead.
Ok, muy buenas tardes. Me quiero dirigir hacia ustedes porque tengo una gran preocupación. Yo encuentro que el distrito nos ha faltado el respeto al concilio bilingüe. Porque traen un programa que se llama Hola. Me acabo de enterar en el periódico. Yo tengo un director bilingüe que no me mencionó nada, solamente un día antes de salir el mensaje en el periódico. Es muy importante que yo le comunique a mis padres sobre lo que va a llegar para el 2015 al 2016. Y en la calle me encuentro y me preguntan si aquí hay escuelas bilingües. Sí. ¿Por qué solamente 2 escuelas y los otros estudiantes los quieren traer de los suburbios? ¿Por qué no nos ha hablado qué significa el programa Hola? Se hizo una reunión, o se iba a hacer una reunión el 22 de abril a las 5:15. Nos reunimos, nos preparamos para poderle hacer muy buenas preguntas. Nos llaman el día antes para decir que esa reunión tenía que ser suspendida porque nuestra diputada no podía asistir a esta reunión.
They call us and tell them because a lady called the deputy never can show up, they have canceled the meeting at us.
Es una falta de respeto
It's a in respect to a bilingual council,
porque nosotros somos padres de familias.
because we are parents too.
Dejamos hacia el lado
We leave it to the side.
bastantes compromisos con nuestras familias
We leave our families to the side to have
porque,
compromise with you guys.
porque nada más de escuchar hola
Only to hear
y no conocer qué es el programa hola,
and we don't know what is OLA.
pues nos dio la inquietud de preguntar en qué nos beneficiaría.
We
Piensen
want to ask you what is going to benefit us.
Piensen en nuestros niños bilingües que están aquí en las escuelas bilingües.
Think about our kids that are already here in the bilingual classes in the bilingual schools.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gaines? Oh,
Good evening. My name is Anna Casserly, and I was the interpreter a few minutes ago. You know my accent now. Thank you. Today, I'm here to ask you about I heard that we're going to have a placements open, and I appreciate it to hear that you're going to give the chance to one of that placement for the special education for an advocate. Because in this moment, our families that speak a second language don't have in a special education an advocate, somebody they know the guidance, what is our rights. In this moment, the only thing we're asking for the district, please think about it. That position is very neat, especially for our families. They are growing and growing, and the kids need. And we can do this when they're small and teach the parents and guide the parents. We can make the difference to these kids. Please don't wait no more until they're 16 years old or tell them that they cannot do nothing when they're already going to 18. Give it a chance that these kids can have a future. Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Now, Ms. Gaines, thank you for your patience.
Hi, my name is Kanisha Gaines. I'm 30 years old, and I currently go to the OASIS program. I'm just going to speak from my heart, from my experience through the program. I had to breathe. The program is a very, very, very good program for adults who are trying to get back on the right track. And I hope and pray to God that y'all do not close the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gaines. Myrna Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez. How about Tiana Burnell? Good evening.
I was supposed to be the one who's gonna speak to you today, but my daughter wanna do it by herself. So she's gonna read you a letter that she wrote herself.
This is about my own experience in the public school district. The wrong is always bring a certain pleasure to the ones doing it, yet it brings overwhelming pain to the others. Every person has their own understanding of this word. When you're younger, there is no justification for what is wrong. But then you grow up and that judgment changes. Everyone goes through a rebellious stage. This stage is important. It could make you better or a worse person. When I was younger, I wondered why not just be good to everyone. I found the answer to this too quickly. I was impacted with an overdose of reality. I was so young, naive, and innocent. When the place I thought was for learning and the teachers I thought would protect me turned it into my own hell. And my most feared demons. The pain I suffered through left me with many scars, with too many nightmares and memories. I could never go to a public school again. I hope the district doesn't do the same it has done to me to another innocent angel. Now that I'm better, I finally realize that I am no longer a victim, but a survivor. I have been 8 years out of the district, and I am doing wonderfully.
Thank you.
Well, yo
Could
soy
you
madre
state
de-
your name?
My name is Tayana Bernal.
Okay.
I'm here because of my daughter. She's a special aid. She's not getting the help that she's supposed to get, and I hope that everything changes. I'm sorry about my English, but I'm trying to explain myself. I'm a single mom. I want the best for my child, and no help at all for her. And I got a second one. Her name is Catherine Enriquez. You know her from A school. She's having a lot of problems because she been bullied since she was 6 years old. And that troubled her head. Now she have learning disability too. And she want to drop out. She doesn't want to keep on school. And I don't want that to happen. I want the best for my kids and for other people's kids. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Father Tracy? Father Tracy? He will be followed by Gloria LaJute. And it probably would make things more convenient if I call your name. It's kind of crowded over there, but if you stand right by that gentleman, Mr. Adams with the hat, that would allow you to get to the podium quickly. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Adams.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening.
Before I start, I guess I should say I did become disabled in the struggle for justice for Latino students in the city school district. But it's been a tough battle. I've been at it for almost 50 years. I'm here as a member of the Bilingual Council, being a father, and to support the positions taken by Gloria Sebastro, the president of the council, and Hilda Escher Rosario, the executive director of the Ibero-American Action League. And I want to talk about 3 issues around the preparation of the budget. And in doing so, I'd like to call upon your collective historical memory of your alter egos, namely positions taken by previous boards of education that produced recommendations in 1972 with the memorandum of agreement between the district and the Committee for Justice representing the Latino community, and then another document, the audit report put together in 1986, and Commissioner Cruz was a member of both groups. The memorandum of agreement in 1972, he represented the teenagers in the Latino community. With regard to loss of positions, especially positions of representing the parent liaisons in the budget, we're not exactly sure that that position has been restored. In the beginning, when the audit report made its recommendations, we had 7 parent liaisons with 7 schools with high presence of Latino students. And we're down to 2, and we're not exactly sure. We still have 1. The audit report talked about the maintaining, expanding parental outreach. The second issue is the presence of a bilingual program that's not under the bilingual office or the Bilingual Parents Council. And the memorandum of agreement talks about any program modifications must be done in a manner that will assure success for the program and meet the expectations of the community. That it's really unfair and unjust to have a bilingual program in School 12, the OLA program, that isn't integrated into the rest of the bilingual program and the bilingual council. And finally, the need to expand the program or bilingual professional teachers, factors responsible for the continued underrepresentation of Hispanic professional staff in schools with high Hispanic concentrations. That we believe that it's very important to continue to provide sufficient bilingual teachers for the expanding presence of non-English speaking Latino students in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Tracy. Gloria LaJute. She will be followed by Robert Shaver. Mr. Shaver, if you're here, if you could stand over there to my left. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Gloria LaJewett. I'm a school social worker over at All City High School, and I'm a proud member of that school staff. I'm very concerned about the direction or lack of direction of All City. I, like many of my colleagues, fought to be chosen to be an All City staff member. I was a school social worker at Marshall High School, and I had been there for 3 years at the beginning of the All City when it got started. Prior to that, I had been at Monroe High School for 9 years and was displaced and heartbroken that I had to leave my students of 9 years. So when I got to Marshall and found out it was going to be another situation where I was going to leave my students, that I became very attached to them, family members and my staff members, I was very concerned. So I fought to be one of the staff members. And there was many of us that wanted to be with the students because so many schools were being closed. So there was many of us that chose to be at All City. And I'm really concerned that over the years, so many things have changed. Just going to catch up here. When we applied for All City, we were told that the program was going to have extra support staff, 7 to 7 hours, flexible transportation, a wide variety of courses, and after-school activities. I was one of 10 social workers, and there was 10 counselors that were assigned to give the extra support. By January, I lost 4 of my social work colleagues who had also made wonderful connections with students, staff, and family. By the following year, the staff was cut even further. The social work staff was cut down to 2 of us, and the counselors were cut down to 4. Many of our staff members were cut. Many of the course offerings were cut. Our extended day no longer existed. This year, the cuts continued, even though there were items that were told to us during a prospective meeting with parents in August. We didn't even know who our administrators were going to be. Central office staff came, but again, they gave a PowerPoint that they were not familiar with the staff or what was going on or the proposal. So it just was very difficult to once again start a year with so much uncertainty. The same thing continues this year. We thought we were going to get a GED program. We thought we were going to have 7 to 7 hours. We thought we were going to have flexible transportation. None of that seemed to come through. The children that I stayed with, my students, my kids, there's only 4 of my original Marshall students that were with me since I started 6 years ago. Most of them have graduated. The 4 that are with me now are on track to graduate on time. But the population over at All City has changed. The students are older, and when they share their life stories, are filled with trauma, grief, and loss, and chaos. And I find that I earn so much awe and respect for the fact that they get up each day to come to school. And I think the awareness of that you need to keep that in consideration when you're making these plans about where we're going to be, who's going to be there to support our kids, and the relationships. With so many cuts and changes, we're once again not knowing where we're going to be or how we're going to be doing it. And I really wish you would include us in the planning and the direction of the school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shaver, and he will be followed by Pamela Vieira. Pamela Vieira, if you're here, could you stand over there to my left? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Robert Shaver. I'm an RCSD school instructor at OASIS, the Office of Adult and Career Education Services at 30 Hart Street. The district is planning to reduce OASIS youth programs and services funding by 42% for the upcoming school year. This will dramatically reduce our ability to provide academic and job training programs for the youth of Rochester. Many youth will miss the opportunity to attend high school equivalency classes and career technical education programs such as carpentry, computer applications for business, culinary, customer service, electrical, print and promotions, building maintenance, welding and small engine repair, assembly, and certified nursing assistant programs. The mission statement of OASIS is, and excuse me as I turn my back, let's get to work. It's a dream for our youth. It's the reason we're there. It's the reason why we come to work every day, because we want to provide the atmosphere, the opportunity for them to be able to get their high school equivalency and to be able to attend a job training program and to be prepared for this workforce. 437. What does that mean to us? It's just a number. I talked to our employment services group job developer today. How many students from our school have been placed in employment from July of 2014 to this date? 437. Last night I talked to one of my students, Zemzem. She couldn't come tonight and speak. Why? She's working. She attended my CTE program, building maintenance, for 6 months. Last January, got a job. Last night she said, Robert, I'm not temporary. I was hired full-time, Strong Memorial Hospital, environmental services. The youth of our city deserve the best. They deserve the opportunity to come to these programs that we offer. And they deserve the privilege of being able to get all that's offered there. Please, restore this funding for the benefit of our youth, the future of Rochester and America.
Pamela Vieira will be followed by Amy Ranieri. Ms. Ranieri, are you here? Yes. Thank you.
My name is Pamela Vieira, and I'm an ESL teacher at OASIS. And as you just heard, it's an amazing, multifaceted program. And I am so deeply pleased tonight to be able to introduce a former student of mine. And not only is he a former student, but now he's a community partner. And his name is Padam Gurmi, and I'm giving him my place to speak.
Thank you, Pamela. It is my privilege and it is my honor to be here. And I thank all of you providing me this opportunity, but I did not realize that I'm going to speak in front of so many people. I was not mentally and physically prepared. You can see how physically I look. But today, before that, I would like to tell you something. My name is Padam Gimire. I came here in Rochester as a refugee in January 2009, resettled by Catholic Family Center. I lived in the refugee camp in Nepal for 20 years. That means I wasted my youth life over there doing nothing. Now, I still regret my refugee life, but thanks God, I'm here to survive. I am the survivor of torture. I was in the prison for 2 years and 1 year in the solitary confinement. I am the prisoner of conscience. I'm a political prisoner. So today I'm not going to tell you anything about my success story. If I start telling you about my success story, I'm sorry, one thing still resembles in my mind. It still vibrates in my mind. In 2009, when I was the student of Pamela Vieira, she told me, Padam, please speak slowly, you speak at least good English. Because of the strong accent and you are fast speaking, I'm not able to understand anything. If you are not able to understand, I'm sorry. So here, I'm not going to tell you any success story because if I start telling that, it might take days and nights. Just I want to tell you what I learned or what I have experienced from Family Learning Center or Oasis. I started Oasis not that I have no English. I wanted to polish my skill, English, but it never happened. So I think I might speak very fast and I might stuck in between while speaking, so I wrote down something, so I would like to read it out. Family Learning Center or Oasis is a world in itself, as the adult refugees or the immigrants from different parts of the world, they get the enrollment to learn English. This is also the first formal or informal adult educational center for the people, those who are deprived of the educational right back in their countries. It provided the platform for the refugees and it has resolved all the problems that they have in their mind. It is not only Family Learning Center, it is the education center, it is the employment center, and it is the center, it is a global center or it is a world center. And lastly, I would like to tell that Oasis not only works or not only provides the English to the refugees, but also it provides the employment services where Rob already talked about people getting employment, and it is also, it needs much more funding, much more manpower, and it requires the refugees to bring mainstream in the development of Rochester. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Ranieri will be followed by Greg Finch. Greg Finch.
Good evening. My name is Amy Ranier, and I am a teacher in the City School District. About 3 years ago, I had one of the most challenging classes in my entire 26-year career. My saving grace that year was our school psychologist. Without hesitation, our psychologist offered to come into my classroom on a weekly basis to run a peace circle with my students. Every week, without fail, she showed up, we sat on the floor, and tried to build a community, a sense of respect, and trust with this group of children. It was a rough start. Some refused to join us on the rug, some refused to talk. When it was their turn, some giggled and made fun of the process. Some ran from the room, some interrupted, some got up and walked away, some complained, and some said it was stupid. But week after week, our psychologist showed up with a new topic to discuss. We would talk between circles of the challenges that were happening in the classroom, and we would plan and discuss the next week's circle. After a couple of months, we started to make small gains. Students who normally left the room were staying in the room. Not part of the circle yet, but they stayed in the room. The complaining lessened, the giggling lessened. A few who hadn't spoke said a few words. Small progress, but progress, all because of our psychologist. As the weeks went on, some of the students would walk into the room that morning and say, "It's Peace Circle Day." Some started asking if they could bring up a particular topic in Peace Circle. One student who would sit on the sign finally joined us. Nearly all would share at least one word: progress, because of our school psychologist. Students were learning that they could listen to their peers and discover they were not alone in some of the problems they faced. Students discovered they could speak openly and freely about personal struggles or a problem they had with a classmate. They knew that what was discussed in peace circles were free from judgments and ridicule. Some learned to take risks with the topics we discussed. Some learned how to keep confident what was talked about in our circle. It became their circle. They owned it and wanted to protect it. It was safe, all because of our school psychologist. That year, she also sat with me at team meetings discussing particular strategies I could use to help with some individual students. We modified a student's day where he would spend a period with her. Our psychologist sat in on meetings with parents, collaboratively planning ways to make their child successful in school. She had a smile when we all needed one. Our psychologist went on home visits. She called in other experts to help with a particular issue. Our psychologist would call little mini circles with the groups to help students peer mediate conflicts they were experiencing. She would pop in and ask how their day was going. And she gave me a hug just when I needed it. I could not have done any of this without our school psychologists. Psychologists belong in the schools with the students, the teachers, the parents, the administrators, and everyone else who rely on their invaluable services they provide each and every day. Please don't centralize psychologists.
Thank you. Greg Finch, and he will be followed by Greg Newton.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Vargas, and Madam Clerk. In June of 2014, the OASIS program held a graduation ceremony at the Family Learning Center. 102 students walked the stage in cap and gown in honor of receiving their TASC or GED diplomas. 65 certified nurse assistant students were recognized for completing the OASIS CNA course and for receiving their New York State CNA license. 63 of the 65 nurse graduates are currently working. The other two, they're doing just fine. They're at Brockport State College, halfway complete with their RN courses. One of the speakers we had last year on stage talked about success, the path to success. He spoke of the path of the OASIS graduates and that they had taken that path to get to that moment on stage. What admirable role models they were for their family members and friends. He highlighted how this bright light of success was not an end, but was a beginning, or at least a continuation of the path to more success, more education, more distance between the problems and barriers of the past and the fresh new road of the future for these graduates. Don't let up, don't slow down, he said, and he got the house rocking. He brought this particular cross-section of the Rochester community to their feet. The speaker left the stage to be among not only the graduates, but to look into the faces of the proud families, the 17-year-olds graduating with their beaming parents in attendance, a 60-year-old graduate with her grandchildren in the audience. What better role models than a 17-year-old and a 60-year-old graduating side by side? OASIS teachers were not, and currently are not, bystanders to the success I referred to a moment ago. We facilitated for more than 35 years in what was traditionally called the adult education programs. Today, it's career education and workforce preparation. A teacher with 33 years of experience, others with 25, and most that I work with have more than 20 years of service in the Rochester community through the OASIS or its former programs. The graduation speaker I referred to earlier called OASIS the best kept secret in Rochester. We teach the new Americans, families, and individuals who have traveled here from many distant conflicts, many distant countries, with the hope of living the American dream. Many of our ESL students, high school equivalency students, and vocational education participants gain employment. Knowing the quality of worker we provide to the Rochester community, local employers consistently hire our students, 300, 400, or more every year. That's the sweet light of success. That's helping the Rochester community. That's becoming a great role model. That's the lives that are shining brighter. By the way, that graduation speaker last year, his name was Van Henry White. Excellent speech, Mr. White. In closing, please do not vote for this budget as proposed. We need to find a way for OASIS school instructors to continue the work we are all so proud of. Thank you.
Greg Newton. He will be followed by LaToya Mannon. LaToya Mannon.
Good evening. My name is Greg Newton. I'm a city resident and I'm a teacher at the OASIS program. I've been a teacher in the district for 23 years. I'd like to thank the board tonight for the opportunity to speak regarding the superintendent's budget proposal for the next school year as it pertains to the OASIS program. I'm concerned that the public probably doesn't even know where to find any information on OASIS in the budget because we're listed in the section for administration. We're not administration. We're a program. We always have been. People who might be upset about the drastic cuts in funding and positions being proposed would probably not think to look there. I know I wouldn't. So I have to ask myself, is this a deliberate attempt to make it difficult to find information or just pure ineptitude because Superintendent Vargas and CFO Ansbro don't know who we are or what we do? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume the second. To help them understand what we do, I tell them that OASIS provides some of the city's most impoverished and marginalized adult learners, among them political refugees, immigrants, and native-born Americans, with ESSL classes, career training, and high school equivalency classes to help them find jobs and break the cycle of poverty. I tell them that students who the K-12 system has failed have received a second chance upon receiving a high school equivalency certificate to seek employment that would otherwise not be available to them. I tell them that over 400 adult students at OASIS have found jobs with the help of the program this year, allowing them to become more independent, productive members of the Rochester community and decreasing or eliminating their reliance on public assistance. I tell them OASIS has empowered adults by teaching them the English they need, not only to work, but to also help their children who attend the city school district to attain academic success and have happy, successful lives. I tell them they'd be hard-pressed to find another organization in the district or in the Rochester community in general that has the ability to serve the community as we do. As we look at the proposed consequences for OASIS in this budget, we need to keep in mind the district's responsibility to the larger Rochester community. The community has made fighting poverty a top priority, demonstrated by the creation of a new Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, of which Superintendent Vargas is a member. At the group's March 5th meeting, Superintendent Vargas discussed rebuilding career orientation, one of the very things that OASIS provides. Funding cuts and position cuts at OASIS would make career education less accessible to people in our community. Two of the 6 key drivers the initiative identifies to move people out of poverty and our jobs and education and skills training. This is precisely what OASIS provides. It's easy to talk about poverty from a bully pulpit, but as a city taxpayer and district teacher, I want someone in charge who walks the walk. If you can't do that by supporting the district's own program at OASIS, you should step away from the initiative. When we consider the short-sightedness of the budget proposal and that he and CFO Ansbro are making, maybe it's time for them both to step aside from their positions in the district as well. This is a moral imperative for the district to provide services at the OASIS and keep the program intact. I respectfully ask the board to vote no on any budget proposal that includes these cuts to OASIS. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Ms. Mannon will be followed by Tara Ramirez. I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Latoya Magnon. I am a teacher at All City High. Recently, we learned that our program at All City would be displaced in order to make room for another school. While the new location may be beneficial as far as transportation, it places our already vulnerable youth in the middle of the chaos that occurs downtown. This location is also lacking in other more critical areas, such as space for physical education, an auditorium that would allow our school community to gather for events, and space that provides students access to support personnel and services necessary to mitigate the effects of transitions and trauma, to highlight a few needs, in order to foster mental and emotional wellness. Research shows that mobility between schools has a negative impact on student achievement, yet we continue to move our students around without any thought of the long-term ramifications these transitions cause. Moreover, we continue to make reactionary decisions rather than assessing the needs of our youth first and being proactive. As a parent of city school district students, an alumni of the district, a teacher, and a city resident, I have witnessed what can happen when schools are proactive and provide stability and consistency. Youth do well and are able to overcome challenges. We are requesting a location that affords us the opportunity to provide our students with the school experience that they deserve, one that is in gang-neutral territory so that our kids feel safe, not one that adds distraction and temptation to make poor choices. Our students deserve better than this. They have been made to feel like stepchildren in a district whose vision is to treat every child as their own. Despite whatever adversity they may have faced in their lives, they are still attending school in an attempt to finish what they started, getting a high school diploma. In The Plight of Invisibility, Dr. Vargas highlights his theory of action for student success that is grounded in the belief that all children can succeed if we give them the gateway to the right opportunities. He further stresses the need for our district to take a proactive approach to educating our students. This district is long overdue for a non-traditional school that proactively addresses the needs of our more vulnerable students and one that has a vision in place. Why not start with All City High and make us the alternative school that our students need? Thank you.
Tara Ramirez will be followed by Michelle McCourtney.
Good evening. My name is Tara Ramirez, and as a proud staff member at All City High School over the past 3 years, I have been a witness to many of my students reaching their goal, graduation. This goal, which a lot of the time felt impossible to them throughout their high school years. Some students have been out of school for a year or more and finally decided to try All City as a last hope or effort. Some students had their home schools closed and came to us in order to complete. These are students who sometimes have made poor choices in the past, are responsible for supporting families, their parents have daycare issues, and obviously need some flexibility. Although the original purpose for All City was to absorb students affected by various school closings, it is apparent that it serves a higher purpose. As the students from the school closings graduate, we see that there is still a need for a school that will help overage and undercredited students finish what they started. All over our district, there are students who find it difficult, for whatever reason, to get the credits they need to attain their high school diploma. We ask that as plans are made to determine what the future holds for All City High, that a concrete, more permanent vision is considered. This vision should include a stable leadership, a leader who truly believes in the idea of non-traditional education, a consistent staff that is dedicated to working with this student population, a consistent location where a positive school culture can grow, community partnerships that will give students multiple pathways for success. We need to create a school community that helps establish tradition and positive school culture in order for our students to believe that they are capable of achievement the way we believe they are capable of achievement. Thank you. Good night.
Michelle McCourtney will be followed by Patricia Prusak.
Hi, my name is Michelle McCourtney. I'm a school psychologist at Roberto Clemente School. I would like to talk to you tonight about sections 4 and 6 of the proposed budget. These sections suggest that instead of school psychologists being assigned to function as members of a building team, we would kind of be our own team. 38 of our current members would be assigned to cover only CSE testing across the entire district. The other 12 would be assigned to support social emotional learning across the entire district. We're not here tonight to fight for our jobs. Most of us will still have a job in the new system. We are here to inform you that the new system would negatively impact the students that we are dedicated to serve. We are the school psychologists. We are the experts in mental health, learning, and behavior. We agree with and stand behind improving social emotional learning and special education compliance. However, this budget choice, and it is a choice, is a bad one. School psychologists think it's a bad choice. School principals think it's a bad choice. Teachers, school social workers, parents, students, everyone thinks it's a bad choice. But people involved with the school system are in it because they want to positively impact the future of students. No one sets out to make bad decisions. No one purposely makes a bad choice. Most people want to do the best that they can. Dr. Vargas wants us to treat our students as if they were our own children. Our department embodies this ideal. We advocate for the students that have the most significant needs, the ones that struggle to do their best. No kid wants to be in trouble. No kid wants to fail. Our students need our help. I'm here to ask you to help us to do our best. Our best involves knowing students for more than it takes to just test them. Our best involves knowing families, knowing circumstances, knowing strengths. Our best involves helping others to see their best. We can't do that if we're not in the school with the kids every day, if we only come when there's a problem and we're never there when there's a success. Why is this so difficult? You have the experts in the field, the psychologists, the social workers, the principals, the teachers, telling you that it's a bad choice. On the other side, you have district administration telling you it'll work out. If you have a heart problem, do you go to the cardiologist or do you go to a hospital administrator? Both of them are highly skilled at their jobs. Both of them are highly skilled at their jobs. That's not the point. The point is we aren't reaching the kids that need help now. How are we going to do it next year if we choose to minimize and underutilize the support and expertise that we currently have in place? Thank you.
Patricia Prusak will be followed by Cindy Dumas. Cindy Dumas.
Hi, I'm Pat Prusak. I've been with the district as an employee for 17 years, as a parent since 1984. So I've seen a lot of things come and go. I've seen the flavor of the day. I've seen the board and the administration bring in outsiders to fix things. You know, we call it the flavor of the week. I'm sorry I have to follow such a cohesive speaker because what you're getting from me is just random thoughts. The reason you're getting random thoughts is because in our school day at school number 5, there isn't time to write a speech. I'm the social worker. I depend on the school psychologist to be there. Why? Because there's differences in our education. We're both mental health providers, but the kind of education we get is different. Social work programs teach qualitative analysis. We don't talk about numbers. So when it comes time to write behavior plans, do FBAs, BIPs, it's not my area of expertise. If you take the school psychologists out, who's that going to fall on? The social workers. Guess what? One social worker in every building is not the answer. Because unless you can convince our kids to schedule their crises, it takes more than one person in a building to handle things. Our psychologists are specialists in special education law. The cases have been taken out of the buildings. When a teacher has a question about what's going on with that referral that was put in 3 months ago and is sitting somewhere, it's the psychologists that handle that. You're ruining it for the students. We've heard that it's all about relationships. You're paying people to go to PDs to talk all about relationships, and then you're breaking them by pulling the people who are available to have relationships outside of the schools. You know, the teachers aren't not doing their job. The fact is, the teachers have so many things on them that we've had great programs. We had the PATHS program. We have PBIS. Guess what? The teachers don't have time when they're done with Common Core and they're done with testing and they're done with all the paperwork that they have to do. They don't have time. It doesn't matter what committee you put in the building to set something up. There's not going to be anybody to do it. Is it going to cut down on special education referrals? Probably not. Because who's going to run the RTI? The teachers don't have time. There can't be a more dedicated faculty than we have at school number 5. And everybody's stretched to their limit. So I'm asking you, we have a counseling suite. We have the behavior support teacher, the psychologist, and myself. We have each other's backs. We take care of things. So you need to keep the psychologists in the building. Why? Because you keep telling us it's all about the children.
Thank you. Cindy Dumas will be followed by Dan Dreyer. Dan Dreyer.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Dumas, and I work at Oasis. I am here tonight. Well, I was going to give my 3 minutes to a student of ours that could not make it tonight, but and I have no prepared notes. But I want you to just imagine yourselves in the shoes of some of our students who come to this country with nothing. They are here, they need a new language, they need connections, they need work. The students, the adults that come to us are hard workers. They are people who do not want to live off the taxpayers who promote or who can support our people who can't work, but they want to work and support themselves. And they come to school every day and put forth their best, and the teachers there and the students there are like a family. We help each other. They have no idea what they give to me in rewards on a daily basis. They are the joy of my teaching career, and I know the teachers that are teaching the task, which formerly the GED students, they have the same kind of connections. And I'm so proud of the students that come to our program to be there to help their families, help themselves, and to be productive citizens and contribute to our community. I feel that they would be devastated and that future people coming to us would have no opportunity or little opportunity to continue to learn, and the training, the work training programs that we offer, it's just a very valuable resource in our community, and I just feel that we need to support that. And I implore you to please vote no on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Dreyer will be filed by Michael Pavone.
Hello, my name is Dan Dreyer, and I'm a task teacher at the Oasis School, where I've been for 25 years, as have many of my colleagues. And it's precisely this level of expertise and experience that allows us to provide effective instruction to students of a tremendously wide range of academic levels, background, and age, from high school to senior citizens. Both independently and as a department, we've spent and continue to spend hundreds of hours mastering the new material that was rolled out last year, and are well aware of the regulations, state guidelines associated, and know our students and how to efficiently move them forward in their academic and professional pursuits. Every one of my students is involved in learning a trade as well as improving their academic skills while working toward their high school diploma, at a cost that is much cheaper than sending them to BOCES, I might add. Every day in my class, there are hundreds of aha moments where students are finally grasping concepts they had never quite understood or had long forgotten. Each of those moments is precious and inspiring. With their newfound knowledge, they're better able to render services to their community in the form of employment, equipped to help their own children or grandchildren prepare for their futures, and perhaps most importantly, provide the role model that those around them, to those around them, of the supreme value of an education. So far this year, 73 of our students have attained their high school diploma. We estimate that around 100 will have received it when their final scores are tabulated after June's exam. That is 100 families immediately and profoundly impacted by this achievement, and its effect can be felt not just in the immediate family, but throughout the larger community. While not everyone attains their high school diploma, as people come in with functioning levels ranging from second grade to high school, most make significant academic gains, and a large number find employment. Many are tasting success for the first time. Please don't take that opportunity away from them. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Pavone will be filed by Mary Ann Bailey. Mary Ann Bailey.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michael Pavone, and I also work at the Oasis program. I've been a teacher or a city school instructor for the last 25 years. I've spent a good portion of it in that building. We work very hard. We've done so for a long time, and we've had a great number of successes. Not our successes, the successes of the students that we work with. They've gone on to many things. They've gone on to being families, family members, supportive of their children. They've gone on to be workers in our community. The young lady that spoke earlier, Kenesha Gaines, has 4 children in our district right now. She's brought those kids' homework into me so that she could take it home and help them with it. If you cut the program the way it appears it's going to be cut from what we hear about the budget, you'll be denying that to the parents and to the younger students that we work with too. And I got plenty of 17-year-olds hanging around my room. So I wish you would really reconsider the budget cuts that you've thought for Oasis, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mary Ann Bailey, to be filed by Erica Lang Geyer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want you to know I've never done this before. I'm a little nervous. I could teach you about Mesopotamia, but talking to you here, I've been in the district a long time. Does anybody remember open court? That tells you how long I've been here. For the first time, I'm so discouraged. The life jacket, I feel like we're on the Titanic. I feel like there are no lifeboats. I feel like we're sinking. The decision to get rid of ICOT classrooms, let's eliminate them, is so disturbing to me. It is so sad. Yes, we're adding other services. Yes, it looks good on paper, but there's nothing that can replace all-day, full-time special ed services in our classrooms. So I want to go on record as saying that this decision to decrease services is going to harm our kids. Someone has to say it. I think some of us are just so discouraged that we feel, what's the point? We may not see the effects for a few years, but there will be effects, and they will be disastrous. Our children, from that littlest baby in preschool to the high school senior, deserve more than this. This really is, it's very emotional for me. Governor Cuomo says our children are defined by a test score. You want to see success? Come into my classroom. See my first graders learning. See the joy that they have in learning. They learn at different rates. They learn in different ways, but they learn. Don't look at a test score. Look at where they were in September. Look at where they are at the end of the school year. What's going to happen to our children with special needs? Oh, I know. We don't want to stand up and say, oh, we have a lot of children with special needs. It makes us look bad as a district. But they're there. They're sitting in our classrooms. They're not changing. You can decrease their services, but they're still there, and they still need help all day long. As somebody said, are we supposed to tell our children with academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs, oh, excuse me, you can't do it right now. You can't have difficulty right now because that's not the time for your service. What's going to happen to our children if these services are limited? I know it costs money. I know it costs time. But how is this treating our children the way we would treat our own children? What's the monetary value in a lost child? Because we will lose children. There are no lifeboats on the Titanic, but our children aren't even close to being on the Titanic. They're locked in steerage. I hear the music starting to play, the orchestra's playing. Who's holding the key? Thank you.
Thank you. Erica Lang Geyer will be filed by Todd Claflin. I'm sorry, I probably messed up your name. Clafane? Thank you, sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Erica Lang Geyer, and I'm an ESL teacher at All City High. And I'm speaking on behalf of a successful program that was developed 3.5 years ago by Sandy Jordan, other administrators, and teachers. The program was All City High. The U of R's new East High models many aspects of the original All City High, such as teachers' mentoring of students, a school-wide family contact log, flexible scheduling, and enough supports in the form of social workers and psychologists. In the first year, All City had sports teams, clubs, dances, and a positive, supportive, familial atmosphere. Crucial supports were available to students such as an on-site health clinic ample social workers and psychologists, and a dedicated and highly motivated teaching and support staff. Success followed, with 275 students graduating in 2013. Then, in year 2 of the program, major cuts were made in staff and funding. No reason was given from central office. Not surprisingly, morale suffered. Less support was provided for students, and the staff and students that remained were left feeling frustrated and powerless. Yet the staff and students made the necessary adjustments and made the best of it. Now, in year 3, we're being told we must move. Again, we don't yet know where we will be, who exactly our students will be, and what staff will be needed. We are asked on a daily basis to treat each child in our district as our own. Yet how is that possible when every year teachers are left to wonder and worry? Aren't we supposed to be trying to provide stability and supports to our vulnerable population of students? That is an impossible feat when teachers and other staff are not informed as to what is happening from year to year. Furthermore, my biggest question was, why was the program dismantled to begin with? The superintendent gave no reason. The district is spending millions to improve East High when All City High was achieving results. I can't help but be reminded of when I was working at an elementary level, and I used to see so much waste. New social studies and science textbooks were ordered frequently, and I always wondered to myself, who is making these decisions to order thousands of dollars worth of new textbooks? Teachers would become comfortable with a series, and they'd have to learn another series the next year. It was insanity, huge waste of money. I feel All City High was achieving results, but was then reorganized without input from staff, parents, and teachers. The same was true of the textbook series I mentioned above. On a more positive note, as an ESOL teacher, I'm excited at the prospect of co-teaching with content-level teachers next year at All City. Changes in the New York State Part 154 requirements for next year include a co-teaching model for all levels of English language proficiency. AC was and still is achieving results. Please consider the program's future carefully, as I don't feel like anyone else ever has. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd Clefane. Did I get it right that time? Yes. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I am a 27-year social studies teacher in the district, and for the past 22 years have taught within the School Instructors Association and currently teach within the Youth and Justice program at the Monroe County Jail. The School Instructors Association, or SIA, is a flexible workforce created by this district approximately 35 years ago to serve aspects of this community's most vulnerable populations. Beginning this year, with 36 full-time teachers with a combined 40 teaching certifications, 2 nursing, 2 counseling certifications, 2 administrative certificates, 3 New York State adult ed teaching certificates, nearly 800 years teaching experience, and a subgroup of teachers who have received specialized training in task or GED instruction. School instructors serve our whole community. They teach district students. They teach parents of district students. They teach youth and adult refugees and immigrants. They teach students in crisis from all of our schools. They teach youth in various stages of involvement with the family court and criminal justice systems. They work with youth, adults, and families who are among the most vulnerable in our community. For next year, in the programs where school instructors primarily teach the Office of Adult and Career Educational Services, or OASIS, and the Youth and Justice Program, the current budget proposal projects a cut of over $700,000 in 7 school instructor positions from the OASIS program, and reductions of almost 11 school instructor positions overall, over 30% of the entire unit. Try to find this in the budget. The OASIS program has been pointed out as in the administrative section, and the Youth and Justice budget does not appear at all in the budget. These programs, in the case of OASIS, help hundreds of youth and adults in this community find jobs annually, scores of others to learn English proficiency, and to get high school equivalency diplomas, all helping to break the cycle of poverty in this community. Programs at Youth and Justice provide continuity of education for students in detention, incarceration, on probation, and at strong mental health. The entire community pays when this district reduces educational services to these vulnerable segments of our community, and when it dispenses of the certified, experienced, and trained teachers that have served faithfully and passionately in this program for decades. The best testament to that are the voices of the school instructors and their students who have been speaking here this evening. These programs are not exorbitant. The Youth and Justice Program, not counting the incarcerated youth budget alone, is reimbursed at over $500,000 annually to the district and saves the district at least $400,000 annually that would otherwise have to pay another district for such services. OASIS programs are heavily grant funded. And what price can you put on the gains to the community and individual lives when high-risk youth and disadvantaged adults find skills, jobs, and earn high school and high school equivalency diplomas? Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Horton. Joseph Horton will be followed by Margaret Sargent.
Hi. Thank you for taking time to listen to us tonight. As being the last teacher from the school instructors to speak, I've gone over my well-prepared and thought-out speech and crossed out pretty much everything that you've heard already. But one of the things I just wanted to share, my speech had this whole thing about, you need to know us. But as I look at the board, I know all of you. Ms. Adams, I've stood next to you handing out certificates in the Youth and Justice Program. Ms. Cabot, you probably don't remember me, but at OASIS, I sat in the boardroom with you with the leadership team, and we hammered out new curriculum. And Ms. Elliott, several times you've come and been kind enough to support Youth and Justice and handing out certificates. I have this memory of you taking the hand of a young man who just recently got out of jail, who was in one of our programs, who was doing really well. He earned a certificate. You took his hand, you raised it up in the air to celebrate that young man. Mr. White, it's been clear you've been to many of the OASIS graduations and have been a staunch supporter of that. Dr. Vargas, I see you in the hallways all the time. It's a pleasure again, sir. Mr. Evans, same. You've been there for the Youth and Justice Program and a supporter of OASIS. Ms. Powell, I'm going to date both you and I. I remember we met way back when Claire Miles might have been running the Family Learning Center, but you've also been there supporting this group. One of the things I found as a teacher, as an instructor in this unit, when I tell people, so you teach for the city school district, and I say, yes, I'm with OASIS, or I'm with Youth and Justice Program. They go, who? What? Back to your point, sir, about being the best kept secrets in the district. But what we do is absolutely amazing. And I'm passionate about what Ms. Porter has put together and what Mr. Burke has put together. We reach at OASIS. You teach the parents of our kids. How powerful is that? Mommy, where are you going today? I'm going to school, honey. Where are you going? That is powerful. Teaching emerging readers how to read to their kids. That's amazing. What you people do at OASIS, my heart's with you. What we do at Youth and Justice is, my colleagues are absolutely amazing. We take kids in Water Tower who are they're brought to us by the Office of Probation. I have Judge Gallagher, she's on my speed dial. She calls me from court. Mr. Horton, how is so-and-so doing in school today? You're on the voice thing. We're listening to you. The stenographer's taking your name, sir. She's doing wonderful. She's attending all the time. That's what we do. And we try to get kids off probation. And if we can do that, we can possibly get them back into the regular schools to you guys. And we try. There's a story, I promise I'm done after this. There's this wonderful story, and when I think about my colleagues at OASIS and my colleagues at Youth and Justice, the school instructors, we teach them these crazy things. And there's a story about this guy walking down the beach, and the waves are coming in. These starfish are all over the place, and he's stepping over them and getting around them. And up ahead in the distance, he sees this woman, and she's stopping, she's picking them up, and she's throwing the starfish back into the water. And he's stepping over, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of them on the beach. And he gets up to her and he goes, why are you doing this? What difference does it make? And she looks around, and she picks one up. She looks at it, she throws it back in the water, and she said, it made a difference to that one. And that's what these school instructors do. And may I ask, any school instructor here, please stand. These are the starfish throwers.
Thank you. Margaret Sargent will be followed by Janice Kriegel.
Good evening. I'm Margaret Sargent. I'm Second Vice President of the RTA. And I'm here to speak to advocate for the school instructors, but I have to say, I don't think I could speak as eloquently as any of the students as a result of attending the program or the school instructors themselves can explain through their own testimony about what it's like to work in the environment they do. But I'm going to try, and I'm going to keep my statement brief. I'm here this evening to advocate for the school instructors that are proposed to be eliminated from our school budget. My colleagues instruct and engage our most vulnerable students, students that are incarcerated, returning to school from incarceration, students that have dropped out but have returned to school to complete their high school equivalent diploma. They teach in the OASIS program, that nice secret that we all know about, that we know about, that we hope the community knows about. They provide instruction in family literacy, adult education, career and technical education, and employment services. Cutting these positions would decimate these valuable programs for our youth and our adult students. The school instructors have been an integral part of our community and our school district for many years. They make connections with our students that assist them to become productive members of their community and our society. To eliminate 11 positions would be a travesty and would have a disastrous outcome for all of our students. I'm asking you to reconsider eliminating these positions from the budget and keep these programs alive for our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Janice Kriegel will be followed by Gloria Johnson-Hovey.
Hello. My name is Janice Kriegel, and I have been a licensed speech and language pathologist in the Rochester City School District for almost 30 years. I'm dedicated to help children improve their communication, a common thread in the Common Core standards. In my experience, however, the laws, regulations, and paperwork expectations have become the most challenging part of my job. Indeed, I've spent many evenings completing Medicaid compliance logs. The position of Director of Assessment and Related Services has been our department's go-to resource. Because of the director's attention to legal details, as well as the knowledge of the bigger picture, I'm better able to attend to the needs of my caseload and to the demands of the building. The position of Director of Assessment and Related Services is in part that of clearinghouse, clarification center, and interpreter. Thank goodness, because I don't have the time to do that. I'm too busy with lesson plans, direct and indirect service, CSE meetings, assessment, Medicaid, compliance logs, teacher collaborations, professional development to keep my national and state licensure, and of course, feedback to parents. The related Director of Assessment and Related Services understands and can respond quickly to my concerns, seamlessly addressing the needs facing all of the related services. This position is vital to the effective coordination of services for this very large district with its unique needs and challenges. As a speech-language pathologist herself, our current director has a unique understanding of staff needs with both classroom and administrative experience. A specialized director is needed to understand the ethical and professional positions related to professional practices related to speech and language pathologists, audiologists, psychologists, and other related services. A Director of Assessment and Related Services is needed to interpret and relay federal and state guidelines, Medicaid billing to provide services in an effective manner. Millions, that's right, millions of dollars are generated by related services. Our current director's experience of staffing, knowledge of regulations, and understanding of the scope of practice of multiple disciplines makes this department run smoothly and efficiently. It's crucial to keep this director's position, as this large department would not be able to run effectively or efficiently without a director. The system is working. Our director recognizes our unique contribution to the children of the RCSD, and her tireless work and commitment serves to make a difference in our productivity and ultimately in student success. It just makes sense to leave the director's position as is and not disrupt the ongoing process that we have been making as a team under her direction. We need a director of assessment and related services. Please recognize the importance of this position and continue and reinstate and provide for the continuation of services of Stephanie Beamish. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Gloria Johnson-Hovey. Gloria Johnson-Hovey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm urging our board members and Dr. Vargas to make a well-informed decision when it comes to removing our school psychologists from our buildings. I will let these letters speak for themselves. These are just some of our students that will be negatively impacted by your decision. You work with me like my mom. I love you so, so much. If I want to come, you will have time for me. Thank you, Ms. McCourtney, for helping me with my reading. I am doing much, much better now. You are a fun teacher. I hope you help a lot of people just like me. Ms. McCourtney, you have helped me almost all of my life. Problems with when I'm mad, when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I want to fight, you helped me control my anger. You gave me love, and I can't thank you enough. You give me so much love. I love you with all my heart. That's from Malik. Thank you for encouraging me to do the things I did not think I was capable of, for making me a better person, easier, and making things easier for me. Also, thank you for helping me understand things I never thought I would be able to. This is for you. Roses are red, violets are blue. I like you. I think you might like me too. That's from Antoine. Ms. McCourtney, you helped me when I used to get in fights. Now I go on the computer. I don't get into fights anymore. Keon. Thank you, Ms. McCourtney, for taking me every Friday in the mornings and afternoons. Thank you for speaking to me kindly. Sincerely, Anthony. Ms. McCourtney, thank you for taking my brother to your office when he needed help with our problems. Thank you for taking him out to eat and calming him down before he left the school. He is doing a lot better now. I was wondering if you can take him and me out this Saturday. You helped make my family feel safe, and because of you, we don't have to worry about him anymore. Thank you, Ms. McCourtney, for doing all the things you do for our school. You taught me about being an ambassador. You help all the kids when they need help. That's from Natea. Thank you. With all the work you do with my brother Ishmael, I like how you help my brother. Thank you for being a basketball coach. I like basketball. Thank you, Ms. McCourtney, for picking me to be on the basketball team. When I saw my number, I just was so surprised. Thank you for helping me and the legends. And I just want to tell you that I want to take the opportunity to tell you that you helped me be a star on the team. Also, you picked me next year, we're not going to be in fourth place no more. Samuel. Thank you for coming into my class and coming to our assemblies. There's so much that Ms. McCourtney does. The letters go on, and this is not even a fraction of what she does for us, for our schools. We need you to make well-informed decisions. We invite you all to please walk a day in the shoes of a psychologist. We are partners, social workers and psychologists. We are a wonderful team that can't be broken up. We need them in the buildings. Excuse me.
We're getting ready to take. Hold on 1 second. We're getting ready to take a 5-minute break. If what you have to say can take less than 2 minutes.
It's only 2 minutes.
Okay,
One
go
parent
ahead.
want to speak.
And she hasn't spoken already?
No.
Okay, sure. Come on
up.
up. Come on up. Just one parent, right? Hold on.
Excuse me. I want to say something.
No.
She calling at 10 o'clock to coming to talking here.
Okay.
I don't know why she's not in the list.
Oh, but that's okay. We're letting her speak now. That's fine. That's fine.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Yamixa Díaz.
Okay.
Soy madre de cuatro niños. Mi hijo Juan Carlos Collado.
Someone has to translate because not everybody. Thank you. Could you begin again? Start again.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Yamixa Díaz.
Good evening. My name is Marisa.
Soy madre y padre de 4 niños.
Mother and a father of 4 children.
Mi hijo Juan Carlos Collado.
My son Juan Carlos Collado.
Pertenece a niños de educación especial.
He's at school in special education. He have an IP.
Mi niño desde
My son
Desde que está en la escuela ha tenido más de 10 suspensiones.
At school, he's suspended 10 times.
Ha sido agredido
It's aggression.
físicamente, verbalmente, emocionalmente,
Emotional.
por policías de la escuela.
With the police in the school.
Fue baleado con una pistola de BB en su mano.
He was shot with a BB gun in his hand.
Tiene el BB ahí en su mano.
We still had the BB gun in his hand.
Desde las 10 de la mañana que le pasó esto a mi niño, lo vinieron a llevar al hospital a las 3 de la tarde.
This happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. He don't rush to the hospital until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
14 años lo enviaron solo al hospital en una ambulancia.
14 years old. They sent him alone in the ambulance without nobody. He's a disabled child alone in an ambulance.
Y yo como madre, pues lo esperé en el hospital y cuando él llegó,
When I
a las 3
waited
de la
for him in
tarde,
the hospital because somebody picked him up. Siga.
se le han violado los derechos.
Now you violate my
Él
child
tiene un
rights.
plan en la escuela.
He have a plan in school.
No se ha seguido el plan como se tiene que seguir.
The plan that he have for special education never follow.
Necesito,
I
como
need,
madre,
like a mother,
pido los derechos de mi hijo.
I ask him for
Que
the
se
right of
trate,
the child.
que mi hijo sea tratado como todos los demás.
Okay, please, I only want to be treated like everybody else.
Que tenga oportunidades de empleo,
They have the opportunity
como todos
for
los demás.
employment, like everybody else.
Que paren las suspensiones.
Stop the suspension.
Porque mi hijo tiene el interés.
My son
Quiere
had the interest
superarse.
to go to school. He wants to do something with his life.
Solamente necesita apoyo.
The only thing he needs support.
Y pues yo como madre, mi hijo se siente frustrado.
My son has frustration.
Pero yo como madre estoy aquí
Like a mother, I'm here.
para que pues entiendan que yo necesito
You to understand, please, that I need
que los derechos de mi hijo se hagan
the rights
cumplir.
of my child be respected.
Y pues le doy las gracias por escucharme.
And thank you for listening to me.
Y pues esperamos que se pueda resolver esto.
Y dígale que no le mande los en inglés. Please don't send me my suspension in English. I had 10 only in English. Can you please send it in Spanish? And he's still not at school.
Could you tell her that the superintendent has taken her name and her son's name?
Discúlpeme, quería decirle otra cosa.
I'm sorry, I want to say
No voy a
something.
pasar por alto que mi niña a los 4 días de haber llegado a la East High School
My daughter came here
fue atacada,
4 days, to the
quisieron
high school,
abusarla sexualmente
and somebody tried to abuse her,
y la
sexually abuse my
la
daughter.
escuela cayó.
The school don't did nothing.
Mi hija al día de hoy no quiere volver a la
She
escuela
never went back to school and nobody asked what happened to her.
y está en tratamiento psicólogo
And she's a treatment with a psychologist.
y nadie hizo nada.
Nobody did nothing.
Mi hija tiene ganas de superarse, pero
She wanted
si no hay apoyo,
but she's still hiding because she's scared to be around any person. Okay?
Again, the superintendent has your name.
Dice que superintendente tiene su
We
nombre.
are going to talk to the superintendent actually
Vamos a hablar
tonight
con él esta
about
noche con
this situation, okay?
Okay.
And someone from his staff will get back in touch with you. Thank you for coming.
¿En inglés o en Spanish?
español.
In Spanish, we'll make sure
En
it's in Spanish.
español la van a llamar.
And, all right, God bless.
Gracias por escucharme. Buenas noches.
Gracias. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I ate my 2 chicken wings before I got here. I sure did. When they put it out, they got a job description out there to apply. That's it? I haven't even looked at it, but I mean, is Van okay with it? What about Ira? I want no nonsense. So there's no static for the system. All right. Well, I'm gonna tell you. They tell me something. I'm gonna tell you. get started. Next on the agenda, I know the other commissioners are going to make their way back in here, but we'll get started. Next thing on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Vargas.
Thank you. I know that our speaker most of them left, but we never have proposed that we would bring the psychologist to central office. But I've been meeting with them and just to bring that clarification. Let me just repeat. What repeatedly tonight was say that we were bringing psychologists to central office. And I has said that that's not what is in the proposal, but that will be addressed so that the board can react with accurate information.
Dr. Vargas, if ever anything like that happens again, let me know. Then, so instead of taking a break, you can make those comments, because
Correct.
Had I known, you're right, it would have been good to be able to have folks hear that. But
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question in line to that, if that's appropriate? How much of the work that they do or their expertise is from a cultural perspective, has a cultural paradigm to it? For a district that has 80% students of color, how much do they know with regard to a culture perspective?
Psychologists they are a licensed profession, and I do know that to get through a program, for example, RIT that has school psychology, that they do have training in cultural relevance when they do. Most of them, as you heard tonight, deal with assessment, and but they do more than that. They do, there's a lot of overlapping. Like, for example, a social worker can run a youth group, and also a psychologist does that, but they are, you know, I will say your question is extremely important. That is when you are serving a population that cultural diversity, that's had to be part of the core of your work, but it's not limited to psychology. I'd say it's had to be part of the school culture. You know, it has to be a cross-functional, where the psychologist, the social worker, the counselor, the speech and language therapist, all the professionals that work for the district should deliver their services, taking into account the diversity of the students. So tonight I know I'm going to speak to you. My report will be limited to the exciting time of summer. And I want to thank the board and each one of you for the incredible work that you have been supporting for the school district. Often you have been concerned with research. So in this report you can see we cite several groundbreaking work around summer learning and how important it is for our students, particularly the students in poverty. Students who live in poverty have a greater needs for institutions like the district to design well-run summer school program, and Rochester is in the leading edge of this work. And that is that we had known for over 100 years. Actually, it goes back to 1909, when teachers and others were beginning the observation of what happened to the child who spend the summer without being engaged in educational activity. For too long, we've been talking about closing the achievement gap between not just socioeconomic, but also African American and Latino. And it's an interesting phenomenon, because we know for a long time that children of poverty don't have the organized structured learning activities. So it's sort of like when a poor child stopped learning in June, and a middle-class child continued to learn throughout the summer. So how in the world are you going to close the achievement gap when one stop and the other continue, particularly when there's a gap to begin with when they come to school? And that's something that some of the researchers I looking from that lens. We do know, for example, that the average African American or Hispanic male, when we graduate from high school, we are 4th grade behind in reading and math. So arguably, people will tell you that it's common sense. Will tell you that largely that is a tribute to, and I'm talking about on the average, that could be Malik could have been way above average, but in the average, if we, African American and Latino, when we graduate, we are further behind in math and science and all this subject. Researchers will tell you that the summer learning loss could play a large part in addressing that. As you know, we are engaged in a very aggressive effort to get our students to read 365 days. We are not just talking about reading just in the classroom. So all K-2 students will be given 10 books. And this June, and again, as part of our literacy effort that we have been working so hard, while we are adding and asking you to support reading teacher alone won't do. We had to make sure that we support our families and our kids, and we develop in the district a culture of readers and through our community. And we are making some headway on that. People are no longer talking about that we don't have books. Actually, you will see us adding to the budget more books for kids, for our students. We also are going to try to provide books in English and in Spanish. And we also need to fast move to look for how we're going to support our refugee population. And we are going to have a summer program for them as well. And Commissioner Campus, for a couple of years, I make the observation also to support bilingual program for kids during the summer. And last year, we started a program at school number 9, and it will continue this year as well. Again, the distribution of books is not limited to just for the pre-K through 2, but also is for the entire population, and that we are going to be supporting that. And also we are going to collaborate with the city through the Healthy Leadership Council with the preschool students, so that we also are promoting good diet. I know that that's part of the Board of Education initiative. I know that you guys receive a lot of wonderful note when you took the soda machine and that sort of thing. So we will continue to promote that effort during the summer. Again, it's not enough like reading or eating for us to just promote those activities in our own school, but we need to get it to the community, and we will support that. We are using community volunteers to help us so that we can do it at a cost effective. Also, the Rochester Public Library, and you might be happy to know that the White House had contacted the public library, and they're going to work with us, and we have been collaborating with them. Actually, my first year here, they were able to forgive over $500,000 to our families that were not able to take books because they were owning fine to the library because of late books and other materials. So we will continue this summer supporting them. And the district employs 70 high school students, actually 100 students through the literacy effort, and many of them will be placed at the Public Library and Recreation Center. Just fast, because I do know that you have a lot in the agenda. We also, I want to say to you that you heard people are concerned about special ed. That's one area that last year we were able to close that gap of special education students had the least amount of participation. And thanks to the work of Patty and the data team, Chris Soriano, who brought that to our attention, we were able through great effort to close that gap. And this year we are going to improve it. For example, last year we didn't provide as much support during the summer to our special education student. Now we are asking our school principal to let us know. We have over 10,000 students who have registered already. For summer, we probably have about 1,500 more seats. Also, I will urge you to help us to send the message that summer programs are not something to think that is for remediation. Our summer program is for enrichment and support, just like a middle-class-like summer program. If you go through all our programs that we have, swimming, art, music, extracurricular activity, yes, we will have targeted summer program for high school kids that need to graduate from high school. So this program that we run from July 6th to Friday, August 14th, we are also using pre and post assessment so that we can use that. We also eliminated, as you know, over 20 different programs, and the difference is that we didn't see the payoff. For example, our program that we used to do for remediation for 2 weeks, sometimes you will have hundreds of kids, and my first year here, when we look at the data, 2 students pass. I know Beverly's smiling, but we just shook our head. And I say, how can you continue to, year to year, to do programs and not assess whether they are paying for you? So once again, we are advertising, WDKX, radio, poster, flyers, district, community school. And I also would like to inform you that this program has been well planned. We started in November, and actually asking our school principal to tell us what program was most suitable for the population, and significant number of them responded. I also want to thank the school principal that I are voluntarily going to be running this summer program, and also they have played a significant part in what is being offered, assessing their needs. So once again, I look forward again to another exciting summer program. We have, you will hear a little bit about the effort that the White House is pushing for summer reading. We were contacted via the public library, and there have been some conversation about that as well. Thank you.
Any questions for Dr. Vargas?
Yes. Dr. Vargas, I just want to compliment you on the jobs that we have for our young people. I've heard those quote Ronald Reagan by saying that the best social service program is a job. And so I'm pleased that the district is providing opportunities for our young people to have employment, and I'm looking forward to that through the city and other localities, that we can get some employment for our young people, because I do think a lot of what may be occurring within our community is the fact that our young people don't have the kind of employment opportunities that they would like to have. So congratulations on that, Mr. Superintendent. Secondly, is there an assessment of last year's program that can tell us how that worked, and what were some of the areas in there that will inform what you do for this year?
That's great, and we can provide a report. It's very thorough for all our programs. For example, we noticed just the graduation rate was significantly higher. That was because Amy Shavy, who is here, worked with some of our high school principals. We began early, like Wilson High School, who saw an increase in summer graduation. They began to engage kids in April when they were at risk. So we not only we look up the result, but what was the change in practice that led to that result? And we are, another report that you have that is a national report, which is, have used one of the most high quality design, research design, and that is a randomized sample or a summer learning program through the Wallace Foundation. And in there, you notice that we saw gain in math, but no significant, in reading, there were no statistically significant difference, but they have given us recommendation. Part of their recommendation has been that they want students to know their teacher, that if we can engage teachers who know the kid, so that when the kid begins a summer program, they have familiarity, and the teacher have familiarity with them. The other recommendation in that report was that if ideally you want to do 5 to 6 weeks, that 4 weeks is not enough. And also, of course, you need to continue to provide the socio-emotional support in some of our program, because kids don't just become perfect during the summer. So there have been a lot of information that we are utilizing, but I will ask Patty if you could provide the report, and I think if the board is interested, because you are making significant investment on the summer program, and I do believe that it's an important question, that one that should be discussed by the whole board.
So that my last question, how much did it cost? How much did the summer program cost last year?
Did you have a top of your head?
I know for this coming year, we're anticipating about $13 million.
Correct.
So is that more than what?
Yeah,
was last year?
that is more than last year, but we can provide you both figures. Okay. However, I will say to you, and we saw that in the pre-K community, and I had a great conversation with the pre-K community. I say it could be a perfect program, and it is. It has a lot, not perfect. I will say no program is perfect. It could use a lot of, like anything, could use improvement. But even if you get an incredible result for a pre-K program and you send those kids to challenging neighborhood situation and they don't engage in learning activity in the summer, when they come back, the teacher will notice the difference. And so to maintain that that gain or that effort, that investment in pre-K, your summer school reinforce that. And actually, there are people that will tell you that the nation and as a society, we are far behind, particularly when we are dealing children in poverty. You are not going to close the gap unless, and summer program alone won't do. It has to be high quality. It has to have the strong early childhood education. Commissioner Evans would tell you that at least 0 to 4 matter as much as 4 through 8. And it's unfortunate because as a district we cannot take on everything, but you know, what we do at a very early age for children matters significantly. But it cannot be one thing. I'm not saying it's just summer or pre-K or literacy. You have to have a well-designed district that is responding to the needs of our students.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? There being none, we're going to move on to the reports. Unique is not here today. Makita did send word that her job situation has changed a bit, making it more difficult for her to be here, especially today. So she intends on forwarding us the Parent Advisory Council's report in the coming days. That would leave us with standing committee reports. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. Mine is extremely brief. We didn't meet this month. Our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, May 21st, 5:30. We do have 2 items on today's agenda to be taken up after our resolutions. The first is a vote on the student records and privacy policy. That would be Resolution 626. And any discussion there might be for that. The second item is a discussion item on the district policy on harassment of students or employees. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Evans?
Yes, Mr. President, the ESA committee did not meet this month due to illnesses, but I want everyone to know that at our next meeting that we will be getting at that meeting, we were supposed to get an update on the receivership issue that has been a topic at the state level, and getting that cascaded down to see how that affects our district and what the plans are. So rest assured, at our next meeting, we will be talking about that topic, and then we'll get an update also at the next meeting on graduation rates, where they are. You know, we've been tracking that by at least every other month. We want to get an update on where we are with the graduation projections by school. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like ESA, the CIGR committee had illnesses, and so we did not meet. But our agenda for the month of May will include, and we are inviting people to come in to speak to us as it relates to our approved legislative agenda. One of the items on the agenda is about advocating for grants and on the federal and state level. So we will have Kathleen Seville to come and speak with us about that. Also, a legislative item has to do with the Healthy Access Program and telemedicine. And so we'll have Eric Grotman to come and talk to us about that. Also, telemedicine, we have a person who will come from the University of Rochester to talk about the Healthy Access Program as well. But it occurs to me that we probably need to have some representatives from the school climate group to come and give us an update about what's going on there. And so, although I haven't discussed it with anybody at this point, the agenda may change to include that for the month of May. And that concludes my report. The next meeting is May 19th.
Thank you. Commissioner Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee met on Thursday, April 16th, and we've got a series of resolutions that we are presenting for passage. We are entertaining several amendments to the 2014-2015 budget. These are normal amendments. As we get closer to the end of the year, we can make our budgetary adjustments. We are recommending and putting forth a motion to amend the general fund budget to reflect an increase in grant money and some additional changes to that portion of the budget. And that's Resolution 596, and I move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The second amendment is to the Special Aid Grant Fund budget, and that indicates there's an increase in some federal formula grants, specifically to Title I, SIG, an increase in New York State grants. Again, this is the grants portion of our budget, and so we're making changes there as well, and I put forth a motion to accept the Special Aid Grants budget amendment.
It's been moved.
Second. And these are is that Resolution 598?
Oh, so
597.
it's in the packet. Okay. So we'll vote on it later then.
Well, it's actually an active motion second right now. So.
These particular resolutions are in the packet. Yeah, so normally, if you guys correct me wrong, what we do is we vote on them when they come up for in the packet. So we can do it now. But
Yeah, well, if we can do it now in the context of my budget, my Finance
fine.
Committee meeting, so I make
All
a
right, so it's been-
report so we can at least get those done in context.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Our third amendment is to the school funds, school food service fund budget. And resolution is 598. I put forth that as a motion as well.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then the last motion is to amend the entire budget of all of those three amendments. Again, that's 2014-15, and I put forth that's resolution 599. I put that forth as a motion as well.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Right. And then we have a further motion to approve the March 2015 financial report that we received at our committee meeting. So that is a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then we are forwarding tonight one particular resolution, number 600 for transportation. That is in your package. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It's for changes to the transportation line item to increase that particular portion of the budget by $270,000, and we'll have an explanation for that as well. And then we have Resolution 601 through 611 for educational facilities, and Resolution 612 for others. And our next regular Finance Committee meeting is May the 21st. And as a reminder, that'll be following the Policy Committee and the Board Governance. And as a reminder, the second budget hearing is on Tuesday, April 28th at 6 p.m. And then our budget deliberation session number 3 is on April 30th at 6 p.m. That concludes my report.
Mr. President, just Madam Clerk, point of information, and Commissioner Cruz, I just want to make sure, 'cause I think that some of the numbers were off in your report. Madam Clerk, do you have votes on 597, 598, 599, and 600?
Yes.
Okay.
Quarterly change order report?
What's that?
Did you?
Quarterly change, there's no motion to accept the quarterly change orders.
So I'll make a motion also to accept the quarterly change order report.
Yes, wasn't in my report. Yes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Campos.
Board governance, we did not meet in April, but we will be meeting on the 21st of May. And just a quick point of personal privilege, what beautiful artwork is all over this building, just inspiring to be able to see. I love the hot tub behind us over there, very creative as well, maybe some inventors, but just some beautiful, beautiful artwork, so
If I can also
comment.
just piggyback on that. See, that's where, you know, we've got people in this district who say parents are not involved.
Tons.
And that is farthest from the truth.
Say it all the time.
They are involved, you know, and so that notion that parents don't care about their kids and what have you, that demonstrates their concern for their
Oh
children.
yeah, it took me 10 minutes to get in the parking lot.
I had to walk up 3 flights of stairs. So I just wanted to point that out.
Good, yeah.
Commissioner Adams.
The audit committee was not scheduled to meet and did not meet in the month of April. We're scheduled for our next meeting on May 5th.
And my report will be very brief as well. Just to remind you all, there is the May 2nd Board of Education Best Practices Summit. There's posters throughout this building. Folks say that we don't collaborate and cooperate with our brothers and sisters in charter schools and in private schools and public schools. That's the intention of this particular summit. We have a wide array of speakers that will speak initially in a panel, and then they're going to break out into breakout sessions in our newly renovated number 58 school. And I expect that it's going to be a very compelling conversation. Registrations are going really well. We're not expecting hundreds of people to show up. That's not the intention, but we're expecting those folks that are committed to listening and learning to show up. And again, I'm glad to say that registrations are going really well. So we look forward to that conversation. And then on April the 25th, also at the Wilder Inquiry School, that's this Saturday, there is an event called A Journey Through Specialized Services, A Day in Our Shoes. That too will take place at number 58 school. And colleagues, if you have some time available Saturday, it begins at 11 o'clock. That concludes my report. Now let's move on to the consideration of resolutions.
Just a point of order. I was wrong, Mr. President. Scandal is on tonight, but
no. All right. Now that we know what our mission is.
Motion to adjourn. Let's go home.
Here, Malik. And actually, it probably comes out at 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
It does.
Sorry. Resolutions, can I get a motion to consider Resolution 572 to 593?
Move it, Mr. President.
It's been moved and seconded.
Any conversation, questions, or comments on those particular resolutions?
No tenure?
I'm sorry?
No tenure.
Oh, no tenure. Any comments or questions regarding those series of resolutions? There being no comment or questions, all those in favor of resolutions 572 to 593 say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
577 and 580.
Through 580 or and 580?
And 580.
Madam Clerk, you recorded that opposition. Let's turn our attention, therefore, to resolutions 594 to 596. Can I get a motion?
Move it, Mr. President.
Been moved and seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Campos. Any comments or questions regarding those particular resolutions? There being no comments, all those in favor of resolutions 594 to 596, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No to all.
We've already considered resolutions 597 to 600, is that right? And voted on them. So let's move on to resolution 601. Commissioner Cruz, we did not vote on that, right?
Right.
No.
Can I get a motion to consider resolution 601?
Move it, Mr. President.
Been moved and seconded by Vice President Elliott, moved by Commissioner Evans.
Question.
And there is a question, Commissioner Powell?
Commissioner Cruz in his report promised we get an explanation as to why there's an increase in the budget. That explanation was not available to us at the Finance Committee meeting.
We did get an email.
Yeah, there was an email that was sent out.
Can we
And
have
that's, essentially, it was because there was a change in the schedule. Correct me if I'm wrong, staff. There was a correction in the
Wilson High School.
Wilson High School change in the schedule, which precipitated some increases. Basically, most of the money is going to go to that increase at schedule change at Wilson.
And
Is that-
the other two reasons were the added express service for 58 when it was moved back to its current location, and we had two new charter schools that now have high school service, so they were added after the beginning of the year.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you, Ms. Malgeri. I think that's been very rare that I've seen you step to the podium. Okay. All right, any other questions or comments regarding resolution 601? There are no further questions. All those in favor of resolution 601 say aye. Aye. Any opposition? The ayes have it. Let's move on to consideration of resolution 602 to 612. Can I get a motion?
Move it, Mr. President.
Been moved and seconded by?
Second.
Vice President Elliott, moved by Commissioner Evans. Any questions or comments regarding those particular resolutions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Vice President Elliott.
I'm always looking at the MWBE award, and I notice on resolution 606, 608, and 612 that they are below 10%, although I'd like to, what I would be comfortable with is that with every contract that we get a 25% participation rate. We've got 60 to 80% of the people in here, people of color, and their families need to participate in these opportunities, and people who live in the city need to participate in these opportunities. And so when I see these resolutions that have at least less than 10%, I'm concerned about that, but I will be advocating for us to move where I'm satisfied that it is at least 25%. Now, my ultimate goal would be 60%. So I just want that to be noted for the record that we've got to do a better job. I am excited about the other resolutions and resolutions in the past where they've been 25%, 20%. I'm very pleased with that, but I just want to keep Mike Schmidt and his team and others aware that we need to ensure that we have significant MWBE participation. Thank you.
Commissioner Evans, did you have a question or a comment?
No, I was just going to say that I'm happy that we will be continuing to take care of our buildings over the summer.
All those in favor, there being no further comment, all those in favor of resolution 602 to 612 say aye. Aye. Any opposition? There being no opposition, those resolutions have passed. And finally, resolutions 613 to 626. Can I get a motion to discuss those? It's been moved and seconded.
Second.
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms. Powell.
Resolution 2626 is a policy resolution. I have no objection to taking it as part of the bundle if there's no need for conversation or dialogue about
Pretty straightforward.
the policy.
What was it? What's
This is
Student
for
records
student
privacy.
records
Oh,
policy.
okay.
Any other comments or questions regarding those series of resolutions?
Yeah, I do have a question in reference to Resolution 620. I visited school, All City High School, about a month ago, and I guess my question is, why is there a need for a feasibility study? Don't we know, don't we have that kind of expertise in-house to say whether or not this program is working? It just seems to me that we're spending all of this money on studies, and we should have the professional expertise to know, and we've got people over there who are telling us that the program is working. And so why do we need to delay this? Why do we need to do a feasibility study? I'm just, here we are, in my opinion, the money is not used in the best way to doing these studies. So somebody, we are inundated with studies, and at some point we've got to do the work.
I have similar comments.
Well, Dr. O'Toole, why don't you wanted her to respond? Yeah.
Okay, so we are looking to expand our alternative program. If you listen to the teachers tonight, the programs keep changing every year. We want a stable, sustainable program for our students that include job work experiences through CTE and other choices, and a concrete program that fosters student learning and student growth, so our students are able not only to graduate, but also to have career. The Big Pictures company is being engaged by East to develop a program that works for our alternative students, so that they are able to be successful. So we are also engaging them so that we can develop a structured, more systemic program for the school district that do not keep changing every year.
So, but I don't think that was, unless I missed something, I don't think that was a lot of the conversation that they were having. A lot of the conversation that they were having is about being moved to a different location. And so what does that have to, if that was the conversation, then I guess I just don't get this feasibility study. We know what to do, and I'm coming from nonprofit, so we don't have all this money to do feasibility studies. So, I guess that's what also just sort of ticks me, that let's just get it done. So, well, let me ask this question: in conducting this feasibility study, is the staff at All City on board with this, or this has been something that has been top down? Directed, as opposed to it being a collaborative?
It has to be a collaborative effort, because not one person can do this job.
Has it been, though, in terms of needed to have this feasibility study, or has it been something that has been decided in central office?
So to engage this, the Big Picture company was our decision, but it doesn't mean that it ends with us. East is doing the same work right now, and we saw the benefit of it. We want to bring them in so that we and them could collaborate with the schools. The schools, all the programs know that there will be changes, because we will be planning to roll out the program next school year, to roll out a comprehensive choices to our students for program next school year. So everybody will be part of designing how we roll out programs, be it social emotional, be it alternative school, be it career and technical ed. Everybody will be involved in that process. It's not an isolated process to one department or one group. We plan to engage parents, we plan to engage teachers, principals, all stakeholders in the conversation.
Commissioner Adams?
One of the places where there's been a lot of instability is turnover in administrative high-level staff. So you wouldn't be familiar with the process that was undertaken when All City was first implemented. Prior to its implementation, the board took a significant interest in making sure that there was community input, and that some of the input that we were getting, or some of the concerns that were being raised by the real experts out there in the community who work with youth for decades on successful alternative programs that are small. I mean, a lot of people were bringing up the issue of the best kept secret. And as you are becoming aware, as you've been here, there are many very small programs that you would not even know about. You wouldn't even come across them. But they are extremely successful given the really severe particular challenges that they are meeting. So Big Picture has a good reputation as being a certain model of, sort of, combining alternative education with career interest and, active involvement in the community and engaging project-based learning and so forth. But that's only one facet of alternative education. So I completely understand East engaging with it. I could understand us engaging with Big Picture for some particular projects. But as far as being an outside paid consultant to run an evaluation process or an assessment process or an input process, I find it highly offensive because we actually spent a lot of time on the front end of All City before it was started. There's a document that exists, I can get it for you. It's like a table, you all probably remember it, where we talked about the concerns and we talked about how we wanted to see those addressed. And a big part of that was the vision for alternative education in this district, with All City being somewhat of a laboratory. So there were all these things that some of the other people mentioned that East is applying, the family concept of mentoring, the, strong emotional support, extended, flexible time, all of those things. But there was a heavy emphasis on making sure that there were mechanisms in place for participation by students, staff, and community in ongoing development of what really excellent alternative education looks like, what works, what doesn't work, evaluating it, running like a constant revisionary process. You can call it participatory action research, you can call it, different labels, but there was a strong desire and expectation by this board that would be undertaken. And it wasn't undertaken. But that is the way that we assess and build future successful ongoing alternative programs. And the same is true of Water Tower and New Beginning, the different programs. We have to recognize and respect our expertise and build from it. So that's my soapbox. And I'll just be consistent with my ongoing thing where I tend not to vote for external consultants to come in and tell us how to do these things.
So if we had that research, and I recall that now because we had all of these people to come together and to help to develop All City, why isn't what they noted sufficient? And why do we need to spend money on a consultant to do a feasibility study? Have you been able to use that information when All City was first designed?
To be honest with you, I have not seen that report.
Didn't do what we laid out, so.
All right.
Any further? Go ahead. No, the only thing I would point out too is the original resolution of All City called for it only to be operational for 1 year, and then there was supposed to be an evaluation stuff after that. So,
there were phases built in.
yeah, but All City still needs to be reevaluated. I mean, now, is a Big Picture company that needs to do it? I don't know, but it does need to be looked at. Should it be somebody outside? I don't know, but I know there are serious concerns with All City. But I would recommend, Dr. O'Toole, that you go back and through the superintendent to you review that report. We have a tendency in this district to not go back and look at things. So that might be useful in your deliberations as you look at making recommendations to us on any ways in which All City may be needing to be enhanced, restructured, or not exist at all.
And while you're doing that, the point could also be made that this district has, long before Dr. Vargas got here, has a long storied history, if you will, of creating these alternative sites, and then within 2 or 3 years they're gone. Shape, I'm Ready, Clinton Avenue Tutoring Center, Lofton. I'm not sure why we haven't gotten it right. And again, this predates this administration, but you gotta figure, you gotta wonder, what's the value of investing more money in someone coming in to look at it? If we can't figure it out by now, and don't personalize this, if we can't figure it out by now, I don't know what $35,000
Well,
is gonna be.
and the other part to that is that if we have all of this historical documentation, we need to be reviewing that to help to inform our decision about these alternative programs. So I can't support this this evening because I don't think that it is money well spent at this point without referencing the historical documentation that's been available over these. And just what, last year, 2 years ago, that we created All City High, that documentation should be available too. So I really don't feel that in good conscience, unless we have researched the historical documentation, that it would be in good conscience for me to support this particular resolution.
Well, and let me add this other comment, Dr. O'Toole, you sort of come into this after all this stuff has happened. Perhaps big picture can't be encouraged to look at it, but you certainly can.
Yes.
And there's enough wealth of information at this table to share with you how those prior efforts went. There's still some people around who ran, like Iris Bannister is still around. She could tell you a great deal about the SHAPE program. So I am personally, I'll vote in favor of this. But as Commissioner Evans said, I would really encourage you to look not only, and Commissioner Adams and Vice President Elliott, look at what we did. A lot of work was put into our effort at All City High. And a lot of people put in a lot of work at Josh Lofton and SHAPE and the Clinton Avenue Tutoring Center. And I'm ready. And all of them, to some degree or another, failed because we ended them. So the thought is, this really has to end at some point. We got to get it right.
So that's why we're taking a whole year to plan and then do an implementation. So we get it right. You're right. The leadership has to be looked at. All the structures and all the systems has to be looked at. That's why we want to take our time, a whole year, plan it out. There are programs in this school district that a lot of people don't know exist.
Yeah.
We need to bring that into attention of people so we're able to utilize those programs to support students. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, Dr. O'Toole, sometimes they call these educated people in the community, these seasoned people in the community, old heads. But that's just a way of saying folks that went to Paul Revere, Neighborhood Street Academy. These are all schools that were very successful, and a lot of them are in their late 60s, late 70s, or later. You also probably want to reach out to them, and some of us on the board can even provide you with information on how those structures work. They were extremely successful, and I don't know why we are not talking to these people that are still around while they're still here on this earth. We should really be picking their brains. SHAPE is another one for knowledge. And some of these programs close because of money. But I think that it can be very instructive as you go throughout this process to really talk to those folks.
You know, people often talk about the value of boards, and we often get criticized. You got all these years of service on here, and what have you guys accomplished? Well, I know the accomplishment question is a big one, but clearly, at this table, you have a lot of people who encounter those people over the years. So obviously, feel free to call us all up and ask us what we know to make sure that that history is included in your looking forward. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment, questions? All right.
I have on the 619 resolution.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Adams, since you're the one who introduced this resolution, can you talk about this resolution, please?
Sure. The rationale for this resolution is simply to keep School 44 open as a pre-kindergarten through 6th grade until School 16 returns to its location on Post Avenue, so that there are accessible seats for especially entering kindergartners and early elementary in the large 19th Ward area, because as it now stands, there are far more school-age students than there are access points in the neighborhood. It does not challenge the eventual closure of School 44 according to what we passed in prior resolution, which calls for its closure no later than 2020-21.
So there was a PowerPoint presentation that was emailed to us. Mr. Superintendent, could someone talk to that? There was a PowerPoint presentation that was emailed to us. There were a couple of alternatives on there, I believe, and I guess I'm just not clear what I'm going to be voting on. And I didn't bring it.
You have a copy of the PowerPoint?
I'd like to just talk to it.
You want to talk to it? You're well versed.
Come on, Patty, 2 times in one night. Come on.
So,
Ray, you're gonna do
basic. Oh, Ray, go ahead. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Vice President, if you have specific questions, I can answer those questions.
Well, what's being recommended, I guess, is what I need to understand, because I don't have it with me, and I know there was a cost to one, not a cost to one. I guess I'm not real clear of what. So of what's, let me just ask Commissioner Adams a question. So of what is being presented, which one of these scenarios is in line with your resolution from here, or is it?
In the current one, it is the board resolution. So there's 3 scenarios.
Right.
And I just have to double check because these were the 3 that you presented like a week and a half.
The original.
Ago.
Those
Okay.
were the 3 original,
Right.
and you would ask that we include
Right, and so
the
those
language within the context of the resolution to
Right.
kind of provide a comparison to the board.
You have the latest update?
Yes, it's actually the
Why don't you
resolution.
read those 3 scenarios, see
Oh,
if
okay.
they are congruent with.
While he's looking for those, could I just ask Commissioner Adams, there's a white markup version of Resolution 619, and then there's the yellow in the packet. Which one are we actually?
Right.
Yellow.
So we're considering the one in the packet. Do you want to present?
I can read, I don't know if Dr. Vargas wants me to read the 3
Yeah,
scenarios
yes,
again.
please.
So, sure. Scenario A, that's on page 2 of the PowerPoint. Scenario A is keep 1 pre-K section at School 44 in response to neighborhood requests. Shift 1 pre-K section to School 16 at Freddie Thomas campus. Move 1 pre-K section to School 10's campus as a feeder to School 16. And continue to execute the 2013 Board of Education resolution to close School 44 by 2020. Scenario B indicates that we would maintain 3 pre-K sections at School 44's campus, move School 16 grades K and 1 from Freddie Thomas's campus to School 44's campus, which would require 8 classrooms as originally shared at the last meeting. Scenario C is to maintain 3 current pre-K sections at School 44's campus, moving School 16 pre-K from School 10 in the current plan to School 44's campus, moving School 16 grades K and 1 from Freddie Thomas to School 44's campus, which would require 9 classrooms, noting that in the original presentation, we did identify that 8 classrooms were available. The board then requested that we identify or kind of provide what Commissioner Adams and President White aptly named Scenario D, which is the resolution in context.
So, and can I just comment that I believe from having been on a conference call with the superintendent and Katerina and others, the proposals regarding this sort of complex, switching over of School 16 kindergartens and pre-kindergartners staff into the 44 building was premised on the idea that School 44 was in an accountability status that required that type of action. So it would be associating School 44 students with School 16 staff and administration in order to get around an accountability possible obstruction. But since that time, it's been made very clear that there is no current accountability requirement that School 44 act in such a way to either close or to move students into a different school. That's crystal clear now. So there was some misconception earlier regarding that. So there's no need in the near term, like this fall, to do that kind of a manipulation with School 16. However, it makes sense, regardless of state accountability frameworks, for us to ask our staff to consider a long-term plan, a very solid plan, in which those populations of neighborhood students from School 44 and School 16 will eventually merge together in the renovated School 16 building. So in the future years, not this fall, but maybe the following fall, or maybe a few years from now, it may make great sense to have some of that kind of transplantation, if necessary, between School 16 staff serving students in the 44 building, you know, if that's recommended based on placement, based on facilities and so forth. But for this year, there's no need to do that kind of disruption because the accountability assumptions were not, they were in error before. And it's very clear from conversations from the assistant commissioner that we are under no obligation right now to either close the school or do any of those relatively drastic accountability measures like we had to do for East at this stage. That could come into play if there's not significant improvement with a determination point in January 2016. And at that point, it's still up in the air, according to the assistant commissioner, whether the implementation of one of these relatively drastic plans would have to be implemented beginning in September of 2016 or September of 2017. But even if it had to be implemented in September of 2016, that would be the start date for example, I'm assuming a potential closure plan, because we already are intending to close the building because of our facilities constraints.
All right, let me, if I can ask the superintendent to comment in terms of placement planning, in terms of financial implication, in terms of the FMP you're planning. Can you talk about that part of it, Mr. Superintendent?
Well, there's, as the commissioner added, I think we agree with me, there's a risk associated with it. While there have been growth at School 44, we had to take some drastic measure. We removed the 7 and 8, which are part of that accountability for you. Taking all things considered, I would say that this board is it's a very risky plan if you decide to attach student to School 44. It just, even from reading from the regulation and the note that that you provided to me through that conversation, we still will have to go back to the state and submit the plan, the phase-out plan, and they still could react to it. I don't know how they're going to react, but they still could. So the financial implication, there is an implication to it. So again, I totally understand the situation with School 16, that there's, you know, that there's not, that building right now is closed, and that the community had that need. But I do believe that there's a risk associated, but in any decision, there's risk.
So respectfully, in the direct conversation with Assistant Commissioner Schwartz, that question was asked point blank. You know, what are the implications of reversing the local plan to close the school sooner rather than later? And he was crystal clear that we are absolutely not under a closure that is by any way connected to state accountability or mandates or expectations. We are not under a phase out that is part of an accountability frame. The closure at this point is strictly our FMP plan by 2021, and B, a local plan that does have logic. It's not, like, I completely understand there is a logical basis to preempt the potential need to respond to an out-of-time status a year from now by putting in place a closure. So there is a logic there because it could happen sooner and could have some cost savings associated with it. If you're assuming that we are going to be in a failing status and that that's what's predicted, I think, you know, another important point is there's a lot of serious work going on at School 44. There has been demonstrated improvement, and the school climate is definitely drastically improved. So all of that, you know, seeing that there are pros and cons, that it does make some logical sense to preemptively act in a closure direction, anticipating a future failure label that would require in the future such a drastic accountability step. I can see the logic there, but the countervailing argument is that there are no access points for our early elementary students, and we have a great school right now that is having a great culture, that is showing improvement, and there's tons of community support for it. And that's all in direct alignment with our desire to build strong community schools. So there's still the ability, if there is a drastic accountability requirement, if that comes to be, which it may in 2016 or 17, we are still aligned and planning for that school building to close. But what's different is that we are insisting on a very intentional, deliberate plan to support those neighborhood families and those neighborhood students in a deliberate merger into the new 16 building.
Yes.
The new 16 building also hopefully will be characterized by the community wraparound school model, which is one of the state drastic accountability frameworks as well. And in talking with Ira Schwartz, it's very clear that he's not, you know, completely unreasonable, as unreasonable as I may think that some of these accountability systems are. I mean, he really did convey a sense of reason in terms of plans that can be written in a way that makes sense. It's not like our hands are as tied as we may tie them ourselves as a district. And we also saw that demonstrated with our ability to argue for a reasonable plan with East High School. So we were able to, for example, to get released from some of the short time frames that were unreasonable. We were able to get some flexibility and so forth. So we have those opportunities with School 44.
I just wanted the logic cost, to answer your question, is the investment that you will have to make for a building, because if you're going to keep the building open when you have usage, you have to potentially, I don't know, but I think Mike provided to us how much we will have to invest in terms of reparation. You had those in there?
Yes, there are operations
Yeah.
costs associated with.
That will have a significant impact in your capital improvement. And I just will say to you that the capital improvement plan, when you will have to make a shift in that. That means that if you want to fix a particular building, then you will have to, there's a cost associated, and there's a trade-off.
But aren't students going to be there anyway? Not K through, I mean.
It's possibly 2 additional years.
But in the meantime, just correct me if I'm wrong, even if we don't go with a plan to supplement with K through 1, there are going to be students there anyway for the next, how many years?
The plan is that there will be students there within the next couple of years.
Sure.
So
if improvements have to be made, they have to be made for the whole school. I mean, it's not like closing the building down and there aren't any need for any capital improvement. The building right now, even under scenario A, B, or C, is not going to close completely. So if there is a need for capital improvement, it will be made because the students are there anyway. Maybe not K through 1, right?
Yep.
I just don't understand the capital improvement argument financially. If in fact improvements are made, you're going to make them because the students are there, or you're not going to make them. But either way, you've got students there, right?
Understood. The one thing, if I may,
Sure.
the one thing that the board and the district does have to keep in mind is that as a priority school, we do have to be transparent in communicating with our community that the families do have to have an understanding that students would be transitioning into a priority school, and we have to be very conscientious and cognizant of that communication.
And what would be that implication? So what does that mean?
So
Chief?
normally when when a priority school is designated as such with that status, families are normally or expected to be given an opportunity to transition to a school that is not slated with priority status. That's one of, I believe, Dr. Vargas, something that I know has been of importance. So reintroducing families to 44 school, knowing that it does have priority status, is the implication is such that they should have alternate options instead of essentially being seemingly compelled to select a priority school.
They wouldn't be compelled. It would be an option for them to enter, and it would be no different than school number 3, school number 17, school number 34, school number, I mean, the whole list of
Yep.
priority schools. It's no different from that, and no one would be compelled, but there is a strong community desire to have that as a neighborhood option.
But it's important to remember also that the original purpose of 44 was related to FMP, not.
Right. Of the
Right.
priority schools, they're in some of the best shape.
Yeah. Ray knows the list of priority schools perhaps better than most.
Yes.
So this exposing parents to the fact that their kid is going to a priority school, as Commissioner Adams says, a lot of our parents are confronted with that option because the overwhelming number of our schools are priority or focused. So it's not a reality that is, unfortunately, I don't say this with any pride, it's not an unusual reality that most parents confront. My kids faced it. Melissa, your kids face it. Mary's, Malik, yours, Willis, right? It's just, unfortunately, until we can fix it.
If I may, I think this board makes a good recommendation, but or observation that if a school 44 is making progress, and as you mentioned, there's other list of priority school, if the resolution were to say for me to revisit other schools that perhaps don't have greater challenge and also geographical location, because I do think in the long run, you might upset the cost, but I will say to you, and I want to be on the record in this, and I will take this with me, that you are going to run into serious trouble in the FMP Phase 2 if you are not diligent in terms of how are we going to finance this. This board already spent $39 million. I remember that I had to persuade you to say it won't harm the district in the first phase. But if you continue to run a serious issue with repairing building, you're going to have a trade-off. And again, that's I support what you decide to do. I just owe it to you to give that information. So it's quite possible, along with the observation that Commissioner Adam is saying, that there might be a building that it might be, I mean, this board and the different administration have received recommendation to close building. I know how difficult it is. But eventually, if you want to make the case that that community, and I totally understand how the demographic shows and all the numbers shows, although I would tell you that you have so many schools in the way that there are places that represent a significant challenge to what we're trying to do. So if you were to look, for example, and say, for me to look at another priority school that might have less of a chance to make it, I think that, we can spend looking at data and other things and come back to you and I say, because right now some of our schools had 2 years, and the stronger case in here, if 44 is making progress, it might be a trade-off with one that is not doing as well.
Just a couple.
But that is a big shift.
Just a couple observations. I don't think there's any debate, and I think I heard you say it, Dr. Vargas, that community is in need of this access to elementary school, and until 16 comes back online, this seems to be a reasonable way. Hello?
Front desk security will be leaving at 10 o'clock.
They're going to go see their TV shows.
That's a sign to get the hell out of here.
Use the exit side doors, they will alarm, and please use the front doors to go to the parking lot.
Okay.
And security will be closed, the front desk will be closed, and you have to use the front
Now, we have been here later than this, and I've never heard this before.
Really?
You all gotta get that
They
straight.
paid, that's because they paid
Yeah.
security overtime.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn, let's go home.
That's right. She says we should go home, so it is clear that there is a need for this particular, for a quality elementary school until 16 comes back online. The recent closure plan that we put in place a year or so ago, it's clear to me, it does not reflect the academic status of this school. That was not, the state does not understand that to be the reason why the school is closed. We closed it because the building needed repair. The improvements that need to be made to the building, if they're going to have to be made, they're going to have to be made because we got students there anyway. It's still going to close. That is clear too. This resolution doesn't change that in 2021, by 2021, this building will close. The hope is that the 2 years, because we basically have a 2-year grace period under this whole receivership thing, and this school is making some progress anyways. The hope is we're close to 2018 by the time that 2-year period expires, but that neighborhood would continue to have a neighborhood-based elementary school until number 16 reopens. And something that nobody has really talked about because we all really are not familiar with it yet, this guy sitting here to my right, the reality is, under the new statute, which hasn't been promulgated in regulation just yet, would have the opportunity to have a whole array of options, by the way, without regard to the Board of Education, right? To, for example, turn it into a charter school, fire employees. So if you find something wrong with this school, and I don't think that's going to happen because they are making progress, he has a whole array of options, some of them without consulting with the board, where he could make some decisions. I don't think that's going to happen because, as Commissioner Adams has said, the school has made some progress, and the intention is to close it when 16 comes back online. So
When does the 16 come back to the area?
Wait, it's in the first phase of the FMP, so potentially 2018. And I say potentially because we still haven't even done the borrowing. There's a lot of steps that you had to follow before you, but our hope is 2018. That's what we said before, and that's what, it's 2 years from today.
So how many kids are we talking about for?
Barbara, you had that number? Oh, Barbara is not here. Ray, you have.
Talking up to 9
What?
classrooms, so
You had the number for how many kids we're talking about for 44?
180.
The resolution says 2 kindergarten classrooms, so that would be usually 22 per
An additional 44.
additional 44 students.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. So are we aligning based on the 3 scenarios that we have here? Which one of these scenarios are in line with this resolution or?
The resolution itself, so there's like 3 preliminary.
So they're not,
ones, and then
okay.
the body of it is really addressing the resolution.
Okay, all right.
any further questions or comments? Sure.
I mean, because I'm sensitive to this question. I mean, have we fully analyzed what the financial impact is going to be on this issue? I mean, are we comfortable with the information that we've gotten in terms of what the financial impact is going to be? A, and B, I think Dr. Vargas just mentioned the impact on the FMP. What is the financial impact on the FMP as well?
So preliminarily, from an operations lens, there would be a minimum $600,000 impact in terms of updates, upgrades, costs, and those are preliminary numbers. And again, those are that's information specific to the needs associated with replacing the gym floor, as you can see, replacing casework in the classrooms, those components that operations has already gone through.
All right, let me ask you this then, before you go on. How much of that is aidable?
That's for the, so let me just clarify that we're talking about the immediate impact would be in your capital improvement plan, the $15 million that you buy, which every year we get up there. There's people in the wish list, like, for example, School 3, been asking for about 3 years for us to do upgrade there. So then we will have to go, because we cannot exceed that expenditure from that we borrow, we had to reduce it from somewhere. So eventually you end up spending the same amount, but you also end up having sort of like a domino effect. But
Yeah, it's like trying to squeeze a balloon, right?
so,
Squeeze here and something else comes out somewhere else.
and one of the theories in terms of the FMP is that in the long run, you will have less building, much modernized, more energy efficient, and so on and so forth, and that you end up spending less.
But the flip side of that is that we just invested $1.1 million in boilers, roof, and essential structural things through the CIP. The things that you see there that are listed, replacing a gym, staff bathrooms, and what was the other thing? Some classroom updates. Those, I mean, it's all relative. If you look at my children's school at School 10, we're existing with very, substandard conditions. And so when you look at the CIP wish list, these things can cycle through. There's no reason that these things would rise to the top of a CIP wish list. And to be perfectly honest, it appears to me that this is like put here to make it look like a inflated cost. Because if we're only talking about a couple more years, are we really gonna approve redoing a gym floor? Yet on the flip side, we just put a huge investment in significant structural needs, boilers, roof repairs, masonry. So it just doesn't really make sense to use this argument.
Can I also add to that? I don't know if we bother to put a new gym, but if my numbers are right, it's a K through 6 school, right?
Correct.
Right? So already the plan is to eliminate, that's scenario A, B, and C, to eliminate K through 1. You're still going to have 2 through 6 there, right? I am assuming, since you're not planning on making these improvements to the gym, you were going to let those kids, 2nd through 6th grade, play in that regular gym floor. But there's a need to put in a new gym just because you're going to add K through 1? As Commissioner Adams suggested, I don't think so, right? So here's the concern. Those things aren't planned for the next 2-3 years when that school is going to be 2 through 6. Why do we have to have those things that cost $600,000 just because we're adding K through 1? Now, there may be some costs, but the fact is, this is what I'm trying to say, the building is going to be there, and it's going to have children in it, and Commissioner Adams points out, there's already been significant improvements. Maybe the assumption was those kids need those boilers and so forth. But I'm assuming, and you correct me if I'm wrong, what is there now is good enough for the kids 2 through 6. What you're saying is, this is what it sounds like, you got to have an improved gym at the price tag of $200,000 or whatever for K through 1?
Again, this was based on information that we queried through operations, just based on feedback that we requested, that's specific to upgrades that really, based on walkthroughs, site visits, based on the FMP, really, that's an honest assessment based on the feedback that we were provided.
But if we don't add K through 1, you're not going to make those improvements. You're going to let those kids 2 through 6 deal with the cafeteria, the gymnasium, the way
That's my
it is.
understanding.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I hope not.
Well, I would say this, though. If there was a conversation that had been had with the State Education Department, I would have liked to have had that in writing.
It was the conference call.
Yeah, but I still would like to have had it in writing. It needs to be in writing.
I sent it in an email.
Did you send what
But she
what he wrote?
probably means from state.
From the state, that's what I'm saying, from state ed.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had that.
Except that
yeah.
they don't commit themselves to anything in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, without due respect, I mean, and yes, conversations and assurances are okay, but as we know, having dealt with those folks down there, if it ain't in writing and hand-delivered and certified and witnessed by 500 people, it don't get done, right? Well, so with all due respect, I understand, yes, the assurances that he's giving you and all that kind of stuff. I don't buy it.
I agree with you, Commissioner Cruz. And in fact, you heard in my comments, I didn't rely on, you're not going to see any email from me talking about what Ira said. I've not done that. I just think, for example, the biggest impediment, one of the big impediments seems to be the cost, the alleged FMP cost. I think we've clearly demonstrated that that's not an issue. And the other thing that I think is very clear without talking to Ira is this, and Dr. Vargas, I think I heard him say, this school is not closed or anticipated to be closed in 2021 because of performance. That it was a facilities decision. And yet and still, it's going to be open until 2021 anyway. So I hear you, Commissioner Cruz. There was nothing in writing. My decision is not based on what Ira says, and I agree with you. I think that's pretty kind of dangerous to do that. But I think there are all kinds of reasons why, that independent of that, that we can make this decision very comfortably. Because again, we know how priority status works. They got at least, even under this new receivership, they got at least 2 years before anything happens to them. 2 years takes us to 1 year before 16 comes back into that neighborhood. For us, for me, I don't need Mr. Schwartz's recommendation.
So, Commissioner Cruz, there was no need actually for the conversation with SED. We were sort of forced into a position of clarifying and proving a negative, if you will. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were told something that on its face, through all evidence available to us, all research, all investigation for documentation, turned up nothing. So in an abundance of caution, there was that conversation, but there was no need for the conversation in the first place.
All right. We're all set? I see Commissioner Evans is really set. All those in favor, we're going to take the resolutions. I think we already voted to discuss them. All those in favor of resolution 613 to 626, say aye. Aye.
Mr.
Well, actually, we probably should take a voice vote. Anybody have an objection to that?
Yeah, please do.
Commissioner Powell?
You're taking a voice vote
On resolution 613 to 626. And you can articulate your no votes when you do that. Go ahead.
I will vote yes to all except 620.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes to all.
I vote yes to all. Vice President Elliott?
I'm going to vote no on Resolution 619. I just don't feel comfortable with the conversation, and I will vote no on 620.
Very well. Commissioner Cruz?
I vote yes to all with the exception of 619. I'm also not convinced in terms of the financial impact.
Commissioner Campos?
Yes to all.
And Commissioner Adams?
Yes to all except 620.
All right, Madam Clerk, you recorded those votes? All right, let's move on here. Unfinished business, there is none. New business, Commissioner Powell, you want to take us through that?
Just a quick recap and then questions if you feel free to ask. The district's policy prohibiting discrimination or harassment of students and of employees. It's poorly, the title is poorly phrased, but this was drafted by Kara Briggs, essentially combining our harassment of students policy with our harassment of employees policy into a single policy. And it's all new language. Is that right? Yes.
All right.
And it's intended to bring us up to date with current New York State law.
Any questions? I can't imagine there would be. And then just I have to let you all know, our next meeting is May the 28th, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. I need a motion to go into executive session. So moved. It's been moved by Vice President Elliott. Commissioner Cruz, can I get you to do that? Second.
Second.
There we go. All those in favor say aye. No. Aye. Did you get Commissioner Evans' no vote?
You want to go into recess?
All right, when we reconvene, we'll reconvene on the second floor, so anybody who doesn't want to go see Scandal, that's off. We'll be down there. Thanks.
It's